It's November 4th, 2017, Game 3 of the League of Legends World Championship Finals between SK Telecom T1 and Samsung Galaxy in the Bird's Nest in Beijing, China. You probably remember this moment, its aftermath, and the legacy it will leave on the game. But this moment is really a culmination of various journeys and careers that have intertwined and built over the course of the previous 5 years. And the emotional weight of all of that is generally forgotten in the shadow of this one moment. To truly grasp what this moment means and the legacy it leaves for Korea and League of Legends as a whole, we need to run it back.
Faker, what was that?
SK Telecom T1, make it look easy.
SKT's War Machine. Faker's playing like a man possessed right now.
And SK Telecom continue to rule the world.
SKT is a team that needs no introduction for the League of Legends faithful. They're the only team to win more than one World Championship, having lifted the Summoners Cup 3 times, including the previous 2 entering the 2017 edition. This dynasty has been built on the back of one man, Lee Faker Sang-hyuk. Faker's rise was nothing short of meteoric. SKT picked him up in February of 2013 while creating what was, at the time, their secondary roster, alongside Impact, Bengi, Piglet, and Pumandu. The solo queue prodigy was dropped straight into the starting roster, and monumental success soon followed. During the 2013 OGN Spring Tournament, Faker's impact was felt instantly.
FrankJavCee doing this lane because he's been typically a relatively weak lane.
Whoa, Ambition. What? Faker just executes Ambition in that mid lane.
I think there was actually probably a problem with FrankJavCee's computer right there.
I wonder, man.
I have never seen Ambition die like that in lane.
There's no...
Actually,
look at this. A big tower dive. They're going to come down this bottom lane. Captain Jack the first target. And Lustboy's not going to escape either, I don't think. He's going to flash. Maybe we'll get away. No, there's a spear. A double kill for Faker. What a statement by this solo queue hero. Man.
So actually what I think happened right there was that Ambition hit 6 and he was in the middle of his...
Mandu's a bit brave, but Faker claims another one.
SKT would ride the Prodigy to a 3rd place finish in the tournament, better than their sister squad who finished 5th, 8th. And critically, they 3-0'd CJ Antis Frost, who up until this point was the most decorated Korean team of all time. The team would continue this newfound success into the OGN Summer Tournament, whilst the original first team would disband after a disappointing 4th place finish in the secondary NLB. SKT flew into the bracket stage and beat the MVP Ozone team who had beaten them in the spring 3-1, and went to 5 games with the KT Rolster Bullets in the finals when this happened.
Do you have just Faker nightmares? You wake up in a cold sweat, you're like, Faker's behind me.
I know, right? I'm like, even though I only have a mat on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves. Faker, what was that?
Faker with a huge play, the QSS.
I can't believe I just saw
he
that.
actually won that duel.
I can't believe that
SK Telecom
just
charges into the KT Bullets base.
Oh, wow. Can you say GG? There's a crow storm, but it's a party. That's all for SKT right now.
This was the true coming out moment for Faker when he became a household name in the community. It was around this time the popular hashtag ThingsFakerDoes and the nickname Unkillable Demon King began to appear around the young superstar. Because of the way the Korean League was set up at the time, SKT didn't quite qualify for Worlds yet despite winning the Summer League. The team was still 3rd in circuit points behind Najin Black Sword and MVP Ozone, and so they would have to play in the regional gauntlet as the top seed. The result was a rematch between SKT and the KT Bullets, but this time they only needed 4 games to put them away, finally qualifying them to the 2013 World Championship. At Worlds, the hype had begun to build, and they fulfilled every bit of it in the group stage, going 7-1, including this game.
98 CS to 76. Cool doing some work in that mid lane, and we have to consider they've once again! They didn't give him time to blink. Right back on him. SKT is now on a mission, and they are starting to execute.
No fair, Faker. You brought 3 people this time.
He is no phony.
Oh my lord!
That was more damage than he expected. Hit with everything and anything. The turret goes down. This is just after a kill. Loveland's out of the fight with a passive down. They continue on to Big Pomelo. Big Pomelo now going to go down. If it's one thing, that means it's going to be 2, 3, or even 4 things for SKT. They will not stop.
Really bad timing from the flanking there from Big Pomelo coming in with his ultimate. That the turret just went down. All of SKT are there, and there's no Zac to be found. That was a very, very poor engage from OMG. And Cool gets charmed again!
The max range charm, the lockup, the knockdown, the takedown. Bengi gets the kill there.
Side going in!
Way too close. The exhaust is there, but it's not going to be enough. They are going to fall one after the other in the I think I can mentality. But I think I can. They really can't.
SKT can! They're going 3 turrets in a row and another kill!
I stopped at 4 and 5. They're going for 6, 7, 8. Inhibitor turret at 12 minutes. OMG could lose their first game here.
Zac still not joining the fight. He does not want part of this. Everyone who's walked over there has died.
It is going to slow down. We can't say it's going to end yet. Losing their first game here, I mean, is going to come next 10, 15 minutes. But for this to happen versus the undefeated OMG in the group stage is astounding from SKT.
The 12-minute inhibitor remains to this day one of the most crushing displays of dominance ever at the World Championship. SKT rolled into the bracket stage, meeting the team that had earned the first seed out of Korea, Najin Black Sword, in the semifinals. This semifinals match is tough for SKT, and it goes the distance to 5 games, but honestly it isn't quite as close as that score would indicate. Even down 2-1, SKT really looks like a strong team. They're just having a problem getting their 2 carries, Faker and Piglet, going at the same time, as Piglet performs great in a loss in game 1.
The damage, True Shot Barrage actually flashing to Bengi. He's gone in there. Not sure that's the best decision. There is a Stranglethorns, will only hit Gragas as Kane goes low, but it's a double kill for Expression here. Prey now having to flash away from that one. Piglet gonna chase through. He's gonna pick up that 1v1, and that is leaving us with a 3 for 3.
And Faker the same in game 3.
Right in the front, trying to get involved. Bengi, blown up. Well, his passive is there to save him. Will he be able to escape? There is Stan United coming in. Stranglethorn's going to knock Najin Sword into the air. Prey is going to fall here. Faker from the side. Crescendo comes around. SKT doing great in this one. Now Kane going to be the target. Exhaust goes down, but it won't make a difference. Expression is going to try and chase down Faker here, but with Impact to get that taunt down. Will he have the finisher? No. Faker is still alive. Charm's going to land onto him. Is he going to be able to walk away? Faker is still running. Damaging him. There's another turn, and Expression goes down. What just happened here? Faker magic again.
After uniting to tie the series 2-2, you can notice a pattern in the games. Najin is having to work extremely hard to close out these games, but SKT is winning theirs very quickly. Now united, the team closes out Game 5 quickly once again and move on to the finals against Royal Club and Uzi.
Re-engages a massive shockwave, throws 3 of them together. The first victim is Watch as the rest of Sword are on the retreat. They're trying to get out. Here comes Impact. He's on to Prey. Prey still alive as the counter-strike doesn't land. A good charm. Now Piglet's in trouble. He uses the arcane shift forward. He secured another kill as Nagne's on the retreat. Nagne gets out. He manages to pick up 1 before Piglet closes it out. Expression's still in trouble.
Still in trouble, and he's the last man up. And this one is Impact going to dive on top of him. There is the ace for SKT.
Uzi is a mechanical monster the same way Faker is, and has carried his team to the top of China by sheer force of will this season, behind the team's Raise the Puppy strategy, in which they dump resources into Uzi to allow him to carry in the late game. And at this tournament so far, it's worked to perfection.
Properly, it would then allow him to clean up fights his main, but OMG going for the fights. They have the man advantage.
Oh, lovely, and actually going very deep. Cool going to go over towards Sammy. There's a Stan United being used very early. Uzi is coming in from the backside. Surprise, here comes the Vayne. Kill for White. San's not going to escape this one. They focus down Uzi. Well, look at him. He's still alive. He's still surviving. He stays alive. Ace for Royal Club. What an amazing fight coming out of Uzi.
My God.
The showdown comes, and the analysts on the desk choose Royal Club 3-1, with only Korean analyst Monte Cristo selecting SKT.
Oh, well,
you know my
pick.
All aboard the Korean hype train, SK Telecom G1 for the championship, hands down.
SKT smashes Royal Club. This series isn't even close, and my cousin Marcus actually fell asleep while we were watching it because it was so one-sided. While Faker performed as expected, the true hero was Piglet, who mashed Uzi in all 3 games, denying Royal Club's raise the puppy strategy before it could even begin.
Get down the turret, and look at Piggy. Look, he's just in all sorts of trouble. He's like, what do I do? What do I do? I give a triple kill to Piglet.
SKT would lift the Summoners Cup for the first time, ushering in the era of Korean dominance over League of Legends. The team's dominance continued into the start of the 2014 season when they competed in the OGN Winter Tournament. This right here is actually huge. It's an OGN tradition in which the 3 Bonjwa of StarCraft 2, Boxer, Islavuv, and Savior had thrones. Faker is the first and to this day only League of Legends player to earn a seat on the throne. This tournament acted as the stamp of excellence on the team's past year, as they went 15-0 through the tournament, not dropping a single game, including sweeping Ozone 3-0 in the finals. The dominance was going to need to take a break, however. Before the OGN Spring Tournament, Pumandu stepped down from the starting roster due to health issues, separating the 100-acre bottom lane for the first time. The team picked up Casper to fill the void, but they were a far cry from their previous level. A mediocre group stage performance led to a 3-1 defeat at the hands of Ozone in the quarterfinals, the first time the roster would fail to make a top 4. Pumandu would return to the team ahead of the 2014 All-Star event, featuring the top team of each major region, where SKT went as they held the circuit point lead due to their winter performance. And well, the dominance seemed to be back. SKT didn't drop a game, going 9-0, including a 3-0 of the Chinese OMG. The community perceptions were mixed, however. SKT looked incredible, that much was true, but there was a lingering thought that maybe they weren't that good of a team in Korea, and that the Korean region was just so much further ahead of the others that it didn't matter who they sent, the result would have been the same. Unfortunately for SKT, when the OGN Summer Tournament rolled around, it turned out the latter was probably true. The results for SKT were identical, a mediocre group stage followed by a 3-1 exit at the hands of White, who were the renamed Ozone roster. For the first time since the team was created, Faker's SKT T1K placed lower than the SKT T1S roster, who managed a 4th place finish. SKT would be unceremoniously taken down 3-1 by Najin Whiteshield in the regional gauntlet, missing the 2014 World Championship. After the 2014 World Championship, Riot's rule changes would cause the team's 2 rosters to have to merge. Impact and Piglet left to collect paychecks in North America, and Pumandu retired, so the team brought in Marin, Bang, and Wolf respectively from the SKT T1S roster, as well as the mid laner EasyHoon to tag team behind Faker due to their different playstyles. And SKT's reloaded roster worked. The OGN format switched to a regular season format like the rest of the world, and SKT went 11-3, good for second in the region behind the newly formed GE Tigers. In the playoffs, SKT was pushed to the limits by CJ Entis, whose roster of veteran talent had brought the organization back to relevance this year. Still, SKT was able to dispatch them 3-2 and move on to a crushing 3-0 over the GE Tigers to qualify for the 2015 Midseason Invitational. At MSI, SKT cruised through the group stage without losing a game, but met some adversity in the bracket stage. Fnatic, a European squad who also had to revamp their roster coming into the season, was fielding 4 out of 5 new players, including Koreans Huni and Reignover, who moved to Europe to find playing time. Fnatic played heroically.
SKT's itemization has just been so poor this game. It's pretty obvious what you need to do here, and they've just utterly failed in that regard, as well as Bang really taking that big hit in the laning phase and not being able to make teleport plays into bottom. Fnatic has had everything their way.
Well, Reignover gets caught out, equalizers available. Marin does try to land the knob, but does not manage to connect. They find the kill onto Reignover, and the equalizer is melting SKT. Double kill for Huni. He turns his attentions to Bengi. Flamespitters throwing out, and Bengi's in retreat. Huni looking for the Electro Harpoons, not going to get the kills, but they will get the tower. A 1-for-2 after Reignover got caught out.
Take a 5v4 fight if possible, and at least it'll allow them to deny sidewave control from Fnatic and drag this game out a little bit longer.
Yeah, 20 seconds till the next dragon. They might not be able to get it. Huni forced to flash. Equalizer comes out. He gets knocked up before he can hourglass. Equalizer puts some damage down, but it's not enough. And Feathervin is a 1.5 years away. That's a start. It's a Bang and Faker. The damage dealers. Reignover's got Faker. Now we see Bengi peeling away. Morin left alone in the middle lane as Reignover's trying to run down Wolf. Morin turns Meganar, stays alive a few seconds longer before Feathervin takes him down. Dragon has spawned. Rainova and Fnatic will have the pick of the litter when it comes to objectives, and Rainova's looking for more. He should find Wolf, Bengi, and Bang should get away unless Yellowstar has something to say about it. He's going to look for a stun. Gotta be very careful. Here comes the rest of Fnatic. That's a knockup. Yellowstar, sacrificial lamb. He gets one. Feathervin looks for more. This will be another ace for Fnatic.
I mean, I don't know what to say. You don't want to. I think the crowd's saying it for you.
Fnatic, 4 members with Baron. Still holding onto their mid-outer turret. I think that's important to note how SKT has been stifled out of their own map. But they're going to do a Fnatic death push onto Fnatic. There's no teleports available. Rainova's in trouble. He's being focused down by 3. Where is the position reverser? Rest of Fnatic in the top lane. Rainova's keeping them busy. They're going to trade jungler for jungler. Huni does not have equalizer. Keep an eye on that cooldown as Steelback has already channeled his ultimate. Morin's in the middle though.
Oh, never mind.
Oh! Feathervin blows Wolf, finds Bang, and Yellowstar's looking for a stun. That was a lot of burst. Well, one more little love tap, gentlemen, as they do take it down. And with a 15,000 gold lead and super minions and a LeBlanc that can one-shot almost anything, they're looking for more. Faker's sunned up. He's going down. And it's Feathervin that gets the kill. Fnatic with a 5-on-4.
So the visits into the jungle not as fruitful.
And there's the death mark coming in.
And will it be enough? The pop and the ignites. Feathervin,
but that one underwater.
1v1's Faker.
Wow, great all-in from Feathervin, and the barrier just not quite enough to save Faker. Now they're going on to Wolf.
Wolf gets melted by the support jungle combo. Here comes Steelback, SKT in retreat. Wolf knocks Yellowstar away, and it's Steelback that gets the kill. Fnatic pick up a string of kills across the map.
All right. Rainover got caught, knocked out of the tunnel.
Stunned up with the minions. Bengi and Faker still running him down. He gets knocked back and taken down. Fnatic, the seams are a little loose.
That was a pretty big investment for that kill, though. They had to use 2 ults to kill him.
Well, will it cost them anything more? Here comes Fnatic. Huni wants Bang, and he's almost going to solo him. Onslaught of Shadows is available. Culling has been channeled, and we do see Bang forced to flash away. Equalizer is good. Steelback on the retreat. Throws out the Light Slinger, and the auto attacks onto Morin. Huni kicks him with the hoofs. He onslaughts in. He fears them backwards, and that's 3 kills for Fnatic. Faker is down, but he takes Steelback with him. Fnatic continue to chase. We do see Bang going out. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to Game 5. Fnatic take down SKT in the 4th battle to push us all the way to the MSI semifinals.
And those advantages that Fnatic is getting out of the laning phase have really just propelled them to these victories. SK Telecom not skirmishing as well, and Fnatic just snowballing this game out.
But we're unable to stop SKT from winning 3-2.
You could make a highlight reel of Kobe's saltiness towards Nunu. Right, Rainova's going in, Rainova's going out. Wolf kicks him back. This could be the final fight. The Gnaw locks him up against the wall. Yellowstar will be going down. This is the final fight for Fnatic, and it's SKT with a strong performance. Faker, explosive cast backwards, petrifying gaze down. Double kill for Bang, triple kill for Bang, quadra kill for Bang, and scumbag Morin denies the second pentakill.
And that's it. Morin's just going to teleport straight into the base, get the Baron buff. The surrender will come through, and SK Telecom T1 will move on to the MSI Finals.
SKT then moved on to a new challenge, Edward Gaming. In the Korean exodus at the end of 2014, the majority of Korean stars fled to China in search of massive paydays due to Korea's low player pay. Almost every top star left, excluding Faker, who chose to stay at SKT to show loyalty to the organization. Even amongst other Chinese teams, Edward Gaming may have fared the best from the Korean exodus, gaining Pawn, a former world champion with White, and Deft, who was a superstar in his own right. The team showed up to MSI hoping to knock the Koreans down from their pedestal, leading to the famous moment when EDG baited Faker into picking his famously undefeated LeBlanc in the deciding Game 5, only to hard counter it with a pocket pick Morgana from Pawn.
And last game when SKT won red side or purple side, they banned LeBlanc as the first one. This time around, they haven't banned it yet. I do wonder if they could even consider it as a first pick. I think there's so many other really good picks, and for the mid lane as well, there are so many strong options that you don't have to first pick it. But then again, it is Faker.
We talk about the aura of Faker sometimes, and 5th pick, blind pick LeBlanc, something he's willing to do. There is so much pressure on these guys. You can be the most seasoned veterans possible, but when you're in a situation like this, in the 5th game of an international tournament that had the #1 team from all the major regions around the world, and one pick and one game can change your destiny there, you have to respect LeBlanc. It would put a shock through just the mentality of everyone in that game.
It is open now.
The Alistar. Crumbs was saying if you miss those spells, you're in bad trouble. With Alistar, it's not as bad. Does he lock it in? Koma's right over the shoulder here, talking to Faker, saying, I don't know what he's saying, but if he locks it in, he's saying, play LeBlanc. Bengi's hovering the new. 18 seconds left on the clock. Faker, stone cold in his look. Could he switch off it? Is he toying with everyone? Faker's LeBlanc, one of the best.
Yes, sir.
He locks it in for game 5.
Faker has never lost with LeBlanc on the competitive stage. 12-0 in the semifinals against CJ Entis in blind pick. He picked LeBlanc and just took over that game, and now he has it here.
This could be explosive.
Alistar has already been locked in for the support. Maoka has been locked in for the top lane, and now Morgana is being picked by EDG for that mid lane, unless we're gonna see some crazy jungle swap around here going on for them.
Hey man, Pawn was the guy that said this guy may not even be ranked anymore, so we'll see if he can prove that against his best champion.
This is a matchup where there's not really any kill pressure for Faker, and he has to be so careful when he distortions in, because if he gets caught by the binding, then instantly Morgana's gonna all in onto Morgana and win that trade.
And in that matchup, unless Faker's jumping over a minion wave, all Pawn has to do is shoot the binding at the distortion. It's guaranteed to land. So Morgana is actually a lane counter matchup to LeBlanc. Faker would have to find other ways of winning this game, whether it's through ganking or through roaming.
The gamble paid off, and EDG sent SKT home as runners-up.
Is going to try to put up one hell of a defense here.
Baron minions, the damage dealers down outside of Bank. 5 people alive for EDG. They are 1 push away from the mid-season Invitational Championship.
Bengi, Bang, and Wolf now trying to keep them from being extinct in the mid-season Invitational. Here's the last engage. EDG doesn't even see the turrets. Eyes on SKT. SK Telecom T1 are wiped. The Nexus turrets are going down. LPL's Edward Gaming are the 2015 mid-season Invitational champions.
For the first time that I can remember, in a major international event of this caliber, All-Stars, Season 3 World Championship, All-Stars of the year then, the 2014 World Championship, a Korean team has fallen in a best-of-5. SK Telecom taken down here by Ed1 Gaming in a thrilling series of events. And these are your new champions.
SKT rebounded in the OGN summer back in Korea, going 17-1 in the regular season and smashing KT Rolster in the finals to head to the 2015 World Championship as the top dog from Korea. The 2015 World Championship was a strange time in competitive League of Legends. The hybrid Korean-Chinese rosters of the LPL seemed to be unstoppable, and the rising talent backed by Korean rookies in Europe looked like a strong bet for potential upset runs. Korea was still Korea, but they were placed a little bit further back. A weakened SKT, the most boring KT Rolster roster in history, and the uninspiring KOO Tigers didn't exactly give great confidence to Korean fans. SKT arrived in Paris ready for war, and got an early shot at revenge by being placed into the same group as EDG, who slumped to 4th in the LPL during summer. SKT cleaned house, going 2-0 against them en route to its 6-0 overall record in the group. In other groups, similar stories played out, with Chinese teams LGD and Invictus Gaming each managing only 2-4 records, both failing to make the playoffs. SKT slammed the bracket stage with 3-0 wins over AHQ and Origin, culminating in a 3-1 win over the KOO Tigers in the World Finals. Honestly, SKT's performance in their return to the world stage in 2015 is probably the most dominant performance by any team at any World Championship. No one came close to beating them, and their 15-1 game record is the best of any team at Worlds ever.
SKT definitely looks like the best team right now.
Faker wreaking havoc inside the base. There's no stopping him now. It's time for SKT to make it to the finals undefeated.
SK Telecom T1.
They have a chance to be the first real League of Legends dynasty.
They take down Prey, they take down Gorilla, and it's just chaos. SKT is 2 wins away from the Summoners Cup. They're not stopping. Bang jumps over the wall for another kill. SK Telecom T1 are 1 win away.
SKT isn't bringing their A game. Have they even opened up Pandora's box?
He's going in bot lane now.
It's going to be Kuro getting dropped immediately.
Oh my god. Who has no idea how to deal with Faker?
SKT will be your first ever 2-time world champions.
SKT would lose Marin to China and replace him with Duke, a star top laner who had bounced around Korean rosters the past couple of years, making a name for himself winning an MVP in the 2015 spring. During the spring, they also added new jungler Blank, who spent a decent chunk of the split sitting behind Bengi, but eventually was given the starting job. SKT slumped early on in the 2016 spring LCK season, falling to 5-4, but would rebound to finish 12-6 and beat the Jin Green Wings, KT Rolster, and the ROX Tigers in the playoffs to claim yet another LCK title and another trip to the midseason invitational. SKT's MSI this year started much worse than the previous.
SKT, what the hell is going on with this team?
They only managed a 6-4 record in the group stage, and a tiebreaker put them in 4th. The bracket stage, however, saw a resurgence back to form. Faker in particular played out of his mind as they reamed the first-seeded Royal Never Give Up 3-1, and beat North American hopefuls CLG 3-0 to give Faker and SKT the one title they'd never held.
A beautiful win for Korea's SK Telecom T1 to tie up the series.
You can only poke God so much before he comes back.
This one now, Shahu puts the wall down early, tries to get away, but look at that in the back line is Faker. The perfect game in the last match of the semifinal. Into the finals they go. SKT are here to stay.
Maybe they've been seen as the best team for so many years, but the only thing that matters is today.
경기가 시작되면 몸으로 두려움을 느끼게 해줄 수 있을 것 같습니다.
Faker chunks out Afro. He's not going to be able to survive. Oh, Faker might be in trouble. He's down. Xmuthy picked up the kill. Duke's on the front line. Look at the slide, Clyde, divide. SKT, strike one.
It's gonna be the same. Yeah, it's going to be the same.
The crowd loves it. Let's do it again. SKT look to take down Counter Logic Gaming, and they are 1 win away. That's a double. That's a triple. Duke's looking for the quadra kill, and it will be secured by Faker. And Wolf saves SKT's life. They turn their attention to the Nexus, and SK Telecom continue to rule the world, and they are your mid-season invitational champions.
SKT seemed to have all the momentum on their side. They went up 2-0 in their first playoff series against KT Rolster, but KT came back, winning the series 3-2. Jungler Blank in particular struggled this series to match the KG veteran score, who outjungled him in all 5 games, but especially so in games 3 through 5. Still, SKT would go to Worlds as the second seed from Korea. They once again won their group stage with ease, and then proceeded to beat RNG again 3-1 before meeting the ROX Tigers in the semifinals. The ROX Tigers, as you may have noticed, have been a bit of a thorn in SKT's side for the last couple of years. The team, originally founded by a group of players many said were past their prime or simply just not good enough, banded together and took the world by storm. They'd been the clear-cut second best team in Korea, and it appeared that in the summer, they'd surpassed SKT. Only there was one problem. They may have placed higher than SKT, but hadn't beaten them to do so. ROX had never beaten SKT in a playoff series, and many considered SKT to be ROX's kryptonite. The series that played out between these two teams, well, it's probably the greatest series the world has ever seen.
This is possibly the
most hyped matchup that we've had to date. I'm extremely excited.
The fight continues. Bangy throws the undertow, but he's running for dear life. Snap with immaculate timing. Plenty of CC, but it's still 2 kills picked up, and Duke is just too tanky. Snap is now alone. Misfortune.
Support MF. Support MF is great, right? It surprisingly works.
Go in, and it's gonna be Duke first. Look at the damage onto him. Nothing to do at all.
Nice. Cheros, look at the arrow. Teleport.
He's stopped Duke. We can't take a push. They're trying to burn it down. Is this not gonna be enough? It's not. Rocks Tigers answer back with game 2. Here's a jump in. A few more attacks will do it. And that's first blood. With the flash kick on the bang. That was beautiful. Boom, there's a chase down, and Gorilla's gonna make it rain. Into the bullet time, and it's gonna be all the damage he needs. Baker's low. How much more can they get? The stuns coming in, and it's Duke with the big play. With the turnaround throw. There's the Nexus, and it's 2-1 Rocks Tigers. Double bomb on a Kuro. Shadow's gonna land this time, and he's gonna get the damage. Yes, he is. First blood in for Faker. But what does it even matter? It's a 4-for-0. It's the ace. It's the game, and it's SK Telecom T1 bringing us to game 5. A lot of damage down. 300 HP on Bangy to repel the chase. Couple more attacks. The flash. One more Q will get him. It's gonna be all about this. He's in the pit, and it's the kill on the P9. For either side, and it goes to Scott to try to save the game. SK Telecom T1 backs against the wall. Bangy himself, 3-0 against Rocks Tigers in the series, and SKT punched their ticket to their 3rd World Final.
SKT and Rocks traded games to get to 2-2, with SKT winning more controlled games, while Rocks wanted to play bloodbaths. Rocks also pulled out a special pocket pick Misfortune support that they played in their 2 victories. SKT bounced back, subbing in former jungler Bengi and banning Misfortune in games 4 and 5, hanging on to win the series, heading to their 3rd World Finals.
With game 2. There's the harpoon, there's the chase down, and Gorilla's gonna make it rain. In the bullet time, and it's gonna be all the damage he needs. Gorilla getting the kill. Rocks Tigers 1 game away from breaking the curse.
How has Bengi been able to train as Nidalee? He's not known as a Nidalee player. They're confident first picking it in what could be an elimination game in Worlds.
They're going for Kuro. Double bomb on a Kuro. Javel's gonna land this time, and he's gonna get the damage. Yes, he is. First blood in for Faker.
He's out.
The flash of the Kuro, the stun of the Faker, not gonna matter. Bangy! And Bangy again.
SKT fight their way back in elimination game. Bengi subs back, and he saves SKT. Now we're going to game 5.
2 Korean heavyweights in the fight of the Millennium.
제가 스맵 선수한테 1등 자리를 뺏겨서 아쉬움이 많이 컸고 이번 월드 챔피언십에서 다시 1등을 하자라는 생각을 많이 했고
But they do see Faker, and the cocoon's not going to land though, so can they get anything else? The flash chase, it's Smep onto his face, looking for a little bit more, and he's not going to go down. Faker, with just the ghost, gets away with it. It's all FG wrote for this one. SK Telecom T1 backs against the wall. Bangy himself, 3-0 against Rocks Tigers in the series, and SKT punched their ticket to their 3rd World Final.
Now is a good time to transition to Samsung Galaxy.
Samsung White are the 2014 World Champions.
Enemies in game, but brothers outside of it.
Samsung Galaxy defying expectations, and who can really stop this team? Hail the new king, Samsung Galaxy, your 2017 World Champion!
Samsung Galaxy's journey is a bit more complex. To begin, we have to go all the way back to 2012 and the roster of MVP White. MVP White was one of 3 teams founded by StarCraft organization MVP in 2012, and they, along with MVP Blue, had slowly earned their way up the ladder into the OGN 2013 Winter Tournament. White, riding the back of Dandy and Imp, fought their way into the top 8, but were 3-0'd by top team Najin's Sword. Following the disappointing winter season, MVP made some changes, adding Dade and Mata to the White roster, and Easy Hoon and Deft, you remember them, to the Blue roster. White was also renamed to MVP Ozone. Yes, that Ozone. Blue falters, unable to make it out of the group stage, but Ozone fares better, placing 3rd in their group behind SKT and CJ Entus Blaze. It's in the playoffs that Ozone begins to show signs of life. A 3-1 victory over the KT Bullets garnered a lot of attention, and a 3-1 over Faker's SKT sent them to the finals, where they would match up with the CJ Entus Blaze team that had placed ahead of them in groups, and had just eliminated their sister team CJ Entus Frost. Ozone destroys Blaze in this series 3-0, and Dade would win Most Valuable Player for the tournament.
CJ's giving up. There's the ace. MVP Ozone, a near perfect ace. There goes the Nexus turrets. There goes the Nexus. I can't believe I'm saying this. MVP Ozone is about to win Champion Spring 3-0. There it goes.
Heading into summer, MVP Blue acquires Spirit to play jungle, but otherwise the rosters remain the same. Blue is still unable to get past SKT in groups, but Ozone is able to win their group this time, albeit a weak one. Ozone is able to carry their momentum through top 8, but as mentioned before, they will fall to SKT 3-1 in the semifinals. Still, Ozone will qualify for the 2013 World Championship as the 2nd seed from Korea. In between the conclusion of the Summer and World Championships in the fall, the MVP Ozone and Blue rosters are acquired by Samsung, becoming Samsung Ozone and Samsung Blue. We've already talked about SKT's triumph at Worlds 2013, and mentioned the other Korean team Najin Blacksword who fell to them in the semifinals. But we didn't talk about Samsung Ozone's performance, and there's a reason for that.
Diamond wants to try and steal this.
Diamond coming around, actually getting rid of that pink ward there. That might allow them to force some pressure as Ozone start to engage. Dade is a little bit isolated and he's forced a flash back to the safety of his team. Funnily enough, though, it bought Ozone enough time to pick up Dragon.
All right, so they're trying to get some objectives back, but since they actually took a lot of damage in that fight and now the Shen is returned, Gambit could just get a turret right for this one.
Yeah,
maybe more.
Maybe more here. They've got complete positional advantage. See Danny just sliding on through to get behind that turret to defend it, but where's the rest of the team? They need someone in. Loopers off to the side.
Ozone might look to fight this one as the turret's going very low. Gambit initiate!
There is a throw of Alex Hicks back in. He will just Spirit Rush straight back out as a crescendo comes down. Looper low. Dandy's already dead. Taunt from Darian. They're not finished. Mata, he's going to get finished off. It's now Imp and Dade to save this fight for them. Diamond comes around the side. Imp still charging on down onto him. Is he able to get him? Yes, they were able to finish off in the end. That was a passive of Zyra actually that got the kill. But that will be a 3-for-1 and 2 middle turrets of the Ozone jungle. But do they dare start it off at this point? There is the burst coming down on towards Mata. Stan United going to get involved. Are they going to go for this one? They're managing to force them away. They are going to go for the fight. Crescendo comes through. Darian knocked up by the Strangle Thorns as Looper gets involved as well. But look at Ozone. They're one by one being taken down. Imp got into the middle of them. They need to lock him out of this one. He will be finished off. It's Genja that picks that one up. It's a 4-for-2. Can Danny escape from this? He gets taunted up. Flashes towards the back to Genja. But he goes down. It's a triple kill and an ace for Gambit. Pushing the turret himself. 3 of them actually hanging around here between mid and the middle lane there as Danny. Is he going to go down from this one? He is absolutely destroyed. Stan United comes in. Imp is down to less than half HP. He needs to stay alive here, but he's not going to stay alive. Darian will take him out. Looper in the middle of them. There is Genja flashing in. He's going to go now on towards Mata. Shall they be able to finish him off from this one as well? He's close to getting away. Roots him underneath the turret. Looper died in the end as well, and it's now only Mata to save Ozone here from a Gambit defeat.
And Joe, this looks like a landslide victory for Gambit. They never let Ozone back in, and there is the surrender.
Surrender, brilliant victory here from Gambit.
It's going to be big from Soaz and both Expeke. We've seen the ultimates over and over.
10,000 gold, and Ozone still hasn't gotten that middle turret down. They're trying their best to run away, but man, they get caught a little bit, and Fnatic might just go and fight.
This looks pretty big. They're coming around that banana bush. There's not too much ward coverage there. Fnatic is running into this. Yellowstar gets a ward down. He is actually quite far from the team. Can the gap close with him? Knocked out again. The ultimate only affecting one person. This is the decider now. Puja going in. He gets hit up, but he's already taken down Dade. They turn the fight around to Imp. Soaz is 1v1'd as well in the fight against Dandy. And Fnatic takes the jungle back. that was Ozone's.
4 for 0 in obliteration fight for Fnatic. They're teleporting just for fun right now. They're going for an inhibitor.
All right, now Fnatic continues these fights. Peke taking a few shots, and that is just going to bring Imp down to 0. Pushu coming in from the side. Shots have been fired. They try to crescendo and cast back, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The chase is on to Cyanide. Pushu again, Valkyrieing into the fight, hip to hip with his compadres, and they are going to be going big. 19-6 on the kills as they continue to chalk up those, just getting it.
And you cannot run from this Fnatic team. They chase everyone down on Ozone. 21 kills to 6, a clean ace, and another surrender from Ozone.
Outer turret that's left standing here is Yellowstar going to get caught out inside of the jungle. Mata going to be draining health away as the Stranglethorns go down. Pushu, he's in a lot of trouble now as he gets caught between them. Ultimate is going to get put down, but he's managed to survive. Lupa picks up Yellowstar. He will finally bounce in the middle of them. Peke comes in to try and clean things up. Lupa going very low. Him and Cyanide battling as there's a triple kill for Peke, and I've got a feeling it's not over. Lupa going to have his passive pot, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. This is going to be the first ace of the game for Fnatic.
And watch how they gave that to Peke as well. That's trouble right now. A 4-kill Kassadin based on a 17-minute mid-game teamfight. Peke doesn't even have ability power before this fight.
So he didn't even break half of his health. Now, that's because of the way he started off in this one, going up to that Zhonya's first. Dragon is available.
They're going to
be taken. They're going to fight this one. Peke actually has to flash away back from that one. So he did.
Soaz is behind him.
Away from that one. Soaz does come from the backside. They're closing on to Mata. They're being absolutely exploded. Lupa will manage to jump away, but can you escape Peke? Not right now. Pushu's moving in as well. There's the finisher. Peke dominating.
This is exactly the type of game Fnatic loves to be a part of. Minutes in the game a little while ago, the Peke hadn't been shut down yet, and Fnatic was in the lead. Because stuff like this happens.
Imp jumps on, there's a Stranglethorns. Yellowstar will pick up the kill with it. Soaz comes in from the side. There's Peke jumping in as well. Low HP on Dade, but he will manage to stay alive for now. Ozone trying to push this mid lane back, but the top lane has been decimated. The minions not getting past the steps of the base, and this is going to be another inner turret.
As mobile as Ozone's composition is, they're still sitting ducks against Fnatic right now. Whenever Fnatic wants to go in, he's done. He's back down.
He's coming down, but he's not going home. Peke now godlike on Kassadin. That inner turret did go down. The inhibitor turret's going to fall with this one. Dade using the ultimate on himself. Doesn't have the Zhonyas yet. Soaz picks up his first kill of the game. Fnatic making this look easy.
This is very quickly evolving into a stop for Fnatic. Ozone has nothing to stop the assassination power and the gold lead of Fnatic right now.
As he inhib, easily taken down here by Fnatic as he going towards him. He's just about alive, gets himself back onto the fountain. Lupa now bouncing around in the team. He will go down, and that is another kill, a quick kill in succession there for Soaz. They walk away. Well, he's got the blasting one, so
it's partway there.
It may go that direction, or he may change out as Lupa here. Gonna go bouncing around the team of Fnatic, but the rest of Ozone nowhere near him. They decide they're too scared to get involved. Lupa gonna have that passive pop, but Fnatic just bypass him and go for the next man. Dandy repels up in the air. Peke actually gonna be focused here, but he will be able to risk walk himself back out of danger. Now they turn on towards him. Cyanide passive pop. Dade, he's had to walk away as Imp will go down in the end, and they die for Dade as well. That's gonna be 4 kills for Fnatic, and surely the game with that quadra from Soaz.
Peke sat on 17 health, a surrender from Ozone, and that was another dominating performance by Fnatic against Ozone.
You've got to watch out though, Diamond and Co are looking for Looper.
Oh, that is a dead Looper. Now they jump onto Dade. Flash has been burned. Diamond Prox is thinking about the dive. He continues to land the poke. Genja with max range Bio-Arcane. He lands the gold card into Alex. While this is going on, this is the second tower that Darian's going to take.
He's about a quarter of his team's gold. Dandy makes a play into Voidal, though.
He's going to kick Voidal backwards. Here comes Mudda and Imp in the background. You see Diamond Prox zoning them out. This is basically 1v2. That is home guard Alexich coming in. He's picked up 2 quick kills as Dade and Dade are sitting on the sideline. Here comes Darian, though. He gets a knock-up. He secures the 3rd kill of the fight for Gambit. All they've cost was a Voidal. Now we see Alex with the Rift Walk in. He's going to eat a gold card, but Dade's been silenced, and Darian and Alex should be able to close this one out. Alex will get the kill credit thanks to the damage he's putting down, and not even going to make it to the tower, and that is a 4-for-1 convincing teamfight win for Gambit, and still 100% kill participation for Alexich's Kassadin. Do have teleport back available for Alex though.
And similarly, Ozone also slows his pace down a little bit. They go for the play here in mid!
Oh, we just see a knock up there onto Dade. That's a crescendo, locking up the backline of Gambit. Dade's the first victim to fall. We do see the Zonya's hourglass from Alexis. The chain of corruption is spreading. Diamond Prox has fallen. Genja is untouched in the fight. Genja's jumping onto him. He's squashing him down. Lupin now trying to get backward. The Force Pulse doesn't connect as Darien with a blood well is going to be able to solo out him. Genja gets a massive amount of damage. Lupin is kill. That is going to be a massive win for Gambit. The crowd erupts. The ace is secured, and now Gambit are chasing down the base. Ozone are turning towards Baron. This is going to be risky. Smite is still up for Diamond Prox.
And they've got all their important ultimates available as well.
How many wards?
A lot. They're going to need them. A pick means everything right here. 45 seconds without Darien. Ozone might just be too gun-shy for this one, but they could push mid. 5v4 is an inhibitor.
Gambit will play interference as long as they can. There are super minions in the base of Ozone. You can see that stream of red lights pouring down. The longer Gambit can keep Ozone back, the more damage they can possibly do to those Nexus turrets. Ozone going to try to reply here with an inhibitor, but there is a Stranglethorns available. We'll see if Gambit can go in.
They've got to be careful of the engage. It catches Voidal!
Voidal's caught. Stranglethorns goes down. Crescendo has been used already. Alexich in the background. They've traded support for support. Where is Genja? That is the question. He's backing away. Dandy's doing the best he can to survive, but the inhibitor still stands. Alex and Genja close it out. Now Dade is going to be hit. That's a flash forward from Diamond. They've got him. They've got Dade. They're on to Lupa. Diamond Prox still alive. Hate spikes going down. And I tell you what, Lupa hates Elite right now. He's get taken out. This has to be the game. Gambit are rushing for the Nexus.
There's 30 seconds until any respawns are back. The inhibitor is dead. There are super minions coming down the mid lane. This could be the quarterfinals for Gambit. Everything is burned. This will be Gambit into the quarterfinals.
Ladies and gentlemen, in dramatic fashion, after stealing a Baron to defeat Vulcan to force the tiebreaker, they lose Baron against Ozone and bounce back. The crowd is cheering, and this performance deserves it.
Samsung Ozone's run at the 2013 World Championship is the worst performance by a Korean team ever at Worlds. Samsung Ozone faces some stiff competition in their group due to Riot's weird 2 groups of 5 formula for this edition. While SKT and OMG rule Group A over Weaklings, TSM, Lemon Dogs, and GGEU, Ozone has to contend with not 1, but 2 European powerhouse rosters, due to Europe placing last at the 2013 All-Star event, which was used to determine regional seedings. The 2013 All-Star event was anti-EU in its very design. While every player from NA spoke English, and every player from China or Korea spoke Chinese or Korean respectively, EU's team was made up of the French Soaz, German Yellow Pete, and Russian-speaking trio of Diamond Prox, Alexic, and Edward. Whilst 3 of these players would be representing Europe at Worlds, they were unable to come together as a unit, with Diamond Prox and Edward speaking limited amounts of English, and Alexic being quoted as not being able to understand Soaz's English through his French accent.
So, the European team has got one distinct disadvantage that all the other regions don't have, which is not one single player in the team, not one single one of you guys is speaking their mother tongue in-game. Obviously, we've got 3 Russians in there, we've got 1 German and 1 Frenchman. How is that? How does that work out for you?
So I think that we all are speaking English, and it's fine because in the game you need only basics like go, kill, and I think that the only problem that at least I have, sometimes I can't understand what Sauce is saying because his French English is really hard for me.
The team's communication issues plagued them, and they didn't win a single game, and allowed the perceived as weaker North American roster to place 4th, giving them an auto seed out of group at Worlds over Europe.
But Soaz is a much bigger distraction than Renekton just because of how much he's bouncing around. I feel like I can't even agree.
You can't. These fights are ridiculous. Like we said, you watch Diamond with Diamond Cataclysm.
Here they go, though.
Out of it. They are going for the Baron again. It does not look like they have a way to walk out of this one without taking damage on the backside. The wall goes down. They pressure him in. There's the first locket to stop some Baron damage. They begin to fight. Expresso, the Cataclysm to the backside is right on to Skara. He is shredding Soaz and Diamond right now. The first kill coming out. Full house to Soaz. They are still going. Double up with full health in this fight as Requiem comes down and crashes into safety. And a kill on the Yellow Beat. Here comes that Guardian Angel. The 1, 2, 3. No, he misses it, but he sticks back in. Another 400 gold. Let's get a pinch. Full kill for this. The 1 kill.
This means that while Fnatic is likely much stronger than North America's Cloud9 and Southeast Asia's Gamania Bears, they have to play in a group stage against Ozone and EU's second place Gambit Gaming. Ozone is battered in this group, unable to overcome Fnatic and splitting with Gambit, including early surrenders versus each. Ozone finishes 5-3, tied with Gambit, leading to a tiebreaker. Gambit in 2013 is a weird team. They arguably underperformed against their domestic competition in Europe, but started out the season smashing CJ Entus Frost and Blaze in Katowice. Their tendency to show up in top form for LAN events carried over into Worlds, and they blast Ozone in this tiebreaker. Ozone is sent home battered by the trip to Worlds, and are the only Korean team to not make it out of their group stage ever. Dade in particular struggled hard at this event, and other top players like Looper and Dandy are unable to overcome their European counterparts either. The team heads back to Korea to lick their wounds and regroup for the OGN winter season, whilst SKT stays in Los Angeles to lift the title. Back in Korea, Ozone and Blue both recover nicely. Blue in the offseason acquires Acorn, Pawn, and Heart, whilst Ozone stays the same. The two teams perform relatively well, but are both just footstones on SKT's path to their 15-0 season, both losing 3-0 in the playoffs. Still, there's hope for the two teams. Blue's new pickups are playing quite well, and Ozone seems to have returned to their pre-Worlds form. Samsung opts to make one single change. The two teams will swap their mid laners, sending Dade to Blue and Pawn to Ozone. This seemingly innocuous change actually works out insanely well. The power vacuum left by the slumping SKT leaves a race for the top, and Ozone and Blue are both able to win their groups. Ozone beats the SKT roster without Pumandu 3-1, and Blue is able to beat CJ Frost 3-1, leading to the first ever showdown between the two teams. Blue is able to take down Ozone 3-1 on the back of hugely resurged play from Dade, which will earn him another MVP. Blue will go on to win the finals over Najee and White Shield 3-1, claiming the organization's second Korean title, whilst Ozone manages to win their third place match over CJ Blaze 3-2. The two teams roll into summer with a lot of hype, and in between splits, Ozone has renamed back to White. The two teams are able to win their groups once again, Blue over Faker's SKT, and White over CJ Frost. The two teams enter the playoffs on the same side of the bracket once again, with White downing SKT 3-1 once again, and Blue dispatching a Jin Air Stealths roster who upset Blaze 3-0, leading to a rematch which Blue would once again win 3-1. Surprisingly enough, Blue won't end up winning the season this time, going on to fall to the new hot team in Korea, the KT Rolster Arrows 3-2 in the finals. White would claim third again, this time 3-0ing SKT's second team.
Heart Spirits right there as well, though. Teleport coming in from Acorn. Someday throwing some saplings in there, and Arrow needs to be very careful about his positioning. They're going to go in on to Dade. Someday get into the back lines. Heart coming around from the other side, though. There's the knockups all across the board, but it's KT who's getting a bit low. A kill for Arrow, though. Can he make it play? He's still low. There's a double kill. Can he turn it around? Triple kill for Arrow. There's a knockup, though. Heart trying to make it happen. He gets knocked out. A kill for Cacao, and KT will take the fight. A quadra for Arrow, and that could be it.
They finally found the pick they needed onto Dade. No exhaust from Rookie that time. Even though Dade got a good counter ult off again, they're just too far behind.
Yeah.
There's the inhibitor. Now they can safely do that Baron. Oh boy, Noah.
Insane, man. I mean, that is it for the inhibitor. Are they going for it? Are they going for the win? Oh my gosh, I don't know if they have time. They're going for the first Nexus turret. They're going for the second Nexus turret. Is this it? Is KT Arrows gonna take it right here? The Nexus is going down. All they need to do is focus it. Oh my gosh, they're doing it. KT Arrows, they take Champion Summer.
Are you kidding?
However, this is good enough. Blue will go as the first seed due to total circuit points, and White claims second as theirs. The KT Arrows will end up not making Worlds, as Najee and White Shield is able to upset them in the gauntlet, leading to one of the biggest what-ifs in Worlds history. The 2014 Worlds Edition marks the first of the modern era of Worlds, with 4 groups of 4 with no auto-seeds into the top 8. The two teams actually draw difficult groups, but are able to clear them without any issue. White goes 6-0 and Blue 5-1, only losing an upset to Fnatic. Both teams go through to the top 8, once again landing on the same side of the bracket. Samsung White goes first, beating North American TSM 3-1. TSM won that single game clean, but Samsung White made a lot of uncharacteristic decisions, and due to later similarities, this game is looked back upon as White not trying, as they were already up 2-0 and clearly had TSM outmatched.
Free hook. Like I said, heat-seeking coming out of Mata. What can they ban? What can they do? TSM has to think about game 2 already. 27 minutes in, the double kill for him. 12-3, and game 1 is over in favor of Samsung White.
And wow, such a great game by Samsung White. There's no mistakes right here. And if you make a single mistake, they will punish you. They will take your entire base as well.
Samsung Blue goes next, beating other North American team Cloud9 3-1. Whilst the series is mostly clean, Game 1 is an extraordinary anomaly. A bizarre early game hands a massive lead to Cloud9 Sneaky, and he goes absolutely mental with Lucian. Blue turns it around, banning Sneaky's Lucian in games 2 through 4 on their way to the win, setting up the third White vs Blue best of 5.
This time of Cloud9, they're going to go for Dane. They're going to fly into the king. Dane's going to go for Sneaky. Oh, they've got it. They've killed Dane. They're going to try and push back. Oh, it's a constant death. Death goes down. Acorn's going to fall as well. 45 seconds, 4 timers. What can Cloud9 do?
This is reminiscent of Kaboom getting picks on the carries. They got the 2 main carries shoving up mid. They're going to go for this inhibitor. They have to get the inhibitor down, though. Only a couple minutes to work with. They can do it.
Clever work from Spirit. He's going to try and cut the line off, but this is going to be wanting him down. And Cloud9, they may try and keep pushing.
For the win.
Death timers. It's 20 seconds still. They have to go for the Nexus turret. They've got to push in there. Lemonade tanking it up. Here comes Spirit. Forget him. Try and get the Nexus turret.
Oh, they got him.
Spirit's taking the damage. Lemonation.
10
tanking up
seconds.
the turret. Gonna get one down. Spirit's taking too low. They're going to keep on this one. They're going to go, Joe.
Go for it. He's going to go low.
2.
Oh, doing a jump. Go for the Nexus. They're up. They're up. They're doing it. They're going to dive in. The Nexus is allowed. Well, they've got it. They've cleared it. Samsung Blue of hell.
Whoa.
They've got super minions in the back.
And now Blue. And Blue are going to finish.
Wow. All over, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoa.
OMG all over again. It was a last-ditched effort from Cloud9, but Samsung Blue, they have the super minions. They have the team barreling down that mid line. And surely, for God, they could be facing their sister team, Samsung White, in the semi-finals.
Surely got this one. There's still 10 seconds. It's going to take a bit of a miracle here for Cloud9. That Nexus turret will be finished off. The focus onto the Nexus, and Samsung Blue, with an amazing ending here in game number 4, will win the best of 5 and move through to the semi-finals.
The series opened up, and it was clear. This time things were different. Samsung White bashes Blue heavily in each game, appearing to just be straight up stronger across the map. Looper pulls out a Disrespect Akali pick and dominates Acorn with it.
We have a fight again.
One hit. There's the disengage
Here's
from
the flank.
Mata.
Watch Akali from the back.
Dottie's trying to find what he can. Death gets hit up. There's no peel for him. Chain of Corruption did go out, but as soon as Looper is let out of that prison, he is just knocking down the walls and finding more kills. A double for him. Another ace for Samsung White.
Dade picks his signature Yasuo, a champion he has had absolutely tremendous games on before, and is beaten into the ground by Pawn, going 0-7-2 on the game. Game 2 doesn't get much better. Acorn is again blasted by Looper, and Dandy beats Spirit handily in the jungle.
To get out, Spirit with a nice jump to the back. He could have that reset to get out, but the mana's quite low. Dandy's trying to get the fight on. Has Fizzin in the brush, now into the base. Dade goes down. Mata's going to pick up doubles there. Tries to throw a tornado. Oh! He cuts him down out of the air, peeling his wings right off. The inhibitor turret going to go down 26.5 minutes in.
I mean, that's why Dandy's Rengar is so legendary.
Dade makes a stand but can't overcome Pawn, and in Game 3, Blue suffers perhaps the worst defeat of any team at the whole tournament, losing 28-3 in kills in a 22.5 minute game.
I really feel like Blue is completely beaten out early on in the game here, and Acorn actually gets hit again.
That's going to be some big damage. The exhaust to stay in range. Oh my gosh, they actually pull off the kill as well. You can see the crowd is even stunned on that one in these instances.
Janna shield from Mata onto a Twitch as well. I mean, you have so much damage on this Rise, so there's no armor in his runes. Let's see his Spirit. Nope.
Good find coming in from Dandy there. Nice pressure towards the top lane.
And now they push for more. 5-minute Dragon against 3 of Samsung White.
Exactly what we talked about here. Samsung Blue had to set up the pick first.
They want to steal.
Let's see what they can do.
Oh! The Prince of Thieves comes up once again, kicks away, almost to safety. That's a kill going over to Spirit, but Looper's finalized himself 1, 2, possibly 3 with one more rift. Now he's just gonna get the triple kill off an easy Q. It does not look good right now for Acorn. He's gonna be falling from the tree. Possible quadra kill. Pon's gonna pick one up for himself. Beautiful job at Dragon.
And once again, Blue reaches a little bit too far. The Dragon Seal was just the icing on the cake because when White collapsed on that Dragon Pit, there was no hope for Blue. They burned everything during their initial turret dive, and they had nothing left when the fight happened.
That was the whole idea. The problem was, as we also mentioned, as soon as this Dragon fight goes wrong,
a lot goes wrong.
A lot goes wrong because Kassadin and Fizz, they get the kills. Dada is like, I have to snowball now, and he buys the Soul Stealer.
Not set up to help him there, and White can do whatever they want. Blue is completely out of sorts now.
Spirit actually behind as well. A kill to himself, but he does go for the Moby boots again. We've been seeing it on Rengars. Still trying to make plays, and making plays indeed. That's the pop-up. Here comes the Expunge, locks it down, and the poison, along with all the damage, enough to take Dade down. He just got back from base.
White's just going to keep going here. They're walking right over wards, and Blue has to give up position because we know how strong Dandy and the rest of White is right now. I just see Blue being in total desperation mode right now and not having the items to fight. But here they go.
The Destiny goes, so Vision is everywhere they needed to. Spirit so low, Heart just as low in a matter of seconds. A double kill coming in for Pawn. It doesn't matter what he's on. The team's ready and willing to continue the kills. There we get another one going over to Dandy, and the obliteration begins once again now.
For me, we have talked about it before, the pick and ban phase. Now wow. Play during Worlds, and he's just shining on it.
Absolutely back on point. Now giving Spirit a little bit of hell in his own jungle. We can see that Heart really can't even reply to this. Gets him right out. Not even going to help that Spirit tries to throw on the ulti. Not enough time there, and they have Heart on the run as well. Looper's just drawing in more of a fight here. They have a full team of White coming behind them. Heart's just running, trying to get out. He's not going to solidify that kill onto Looper. He's way too tanky with the Rod of Ages already charged up. And that's one thing that Blue is as well, is trying to charge up a lot of items that they're not going to have time to charge up now.
And just look at how they changed their picks. Assassin's mid lane. Even Looper is playing like Assassin champion with their Kali in game 1, with the Kassadin in this game here. He normally plays like the utility tank top laners. So Samson White beforehand.
This is ugly.
I mean, yeah, they're just going to keep killing him left and right.
2v1 right now. Doing what he wants. Dandy going where he pleases. The cripple hits. He's going to have the connection. The Howling Gale will pop him up. There's the Zephyr, the exhaust, and Pawn just plops right down for another kill.
One of the biggest stomps of all of Worlds. Yeah. And that's pretty much counting group stage. The gold lead at the end of game 1 was the largest gold lead in all of Worlds. If we were to track through the history of League of Legends at best of 5s, the accumulated kill death score and the total gold lead of that series, I doubt you'd find one worse than this one.
Absolutely.
And it's in the semifinals of Worlds. It is miraculous what White is doing right now.
And it's crazy. 5 games. We still see Def trying to push. Spirit getting caught out once again. You're up, you're down. There's almost no time to have on the Rift right now for Blue, as they are just getting taken out every time they are on top of a ward or scene. Still damage from Looper, or rather Def. He's not going to get these kills just to hop away from Looper, and he's still drawing the attention.
Here comes Pawn.
Here comes Pawn indeed. There's the damage. He's going to be able to lock this one down. Relentless Pursuit was already used. The catch-up is there. Heart goes down on the other side of the map as well, and things are getting a little out of hand at this point. 23-3, 20 minutes in with an 11,000 gold lead.
This is one of those games where Blue knows it's the last game before they're eliminated from Worlds, so they don't want to give up, and everyone is trying to make a play, but it is just leading to disaster right now.
I feel so bad for Dade.
This team is an unstoppable force right now.
And that is exactly why Samson White in the past haven't been able to close the games fast enough against Samson Blue, because they had the more passive solo laners at that time. But now when you just give them these assassin picks and you get this lead early on, which we have seen them have before against Samson Blue, they can just completely snowball out of control and give Blue no chance.
Snowball out of control indeed. It's rolling down the hill quite fast. Fish goes out. Acorn gets chomped on that one. And it looks like Dade will also fall. Spirits in the eyes of Pawn right now, missing the bola. But it looks like it's not going to matter. We see Heart going down the other side of the map. It's going to be another clean ace if they catch up to Spirit. They have all the time in the world to work on these inhibitor turrets, actually on the Nexus turrets right now.
This might be it right now.
With game we saw
they
them
might be going to the finals right now.
Huge, 28-3, 22 minutes in. Are they really going to knock it down right now? The quickest in this best of 5 series, and they do not hesitate to drop the Nexus. It's only going to take 3. Samsung White finally defeats Samsung Blue.
Looper, Dandy, Imp, and Mata all crushed their lane opponents, but Pawn's dominance over Dade is the worst of all. Dade is beaten in the ground again, 0-7-3, and Pawn shines in an 11-0-5 performance on Fizz. Samsung White didn't just beat Blue, they annihilated them, and left no doubt who the best team in the world really was. The aftermath of this game, when White went to comfort their brothers in arms on stage, and Dade handed over his famous white leather jacket to Pawn, is an iconic moment on its own. Samsung White entered the finals where once again it would be Korea's best versus China's Uzi. Samsung White controlled games 1 and 2 and, as they had a tendency to do, slacked off in game 3, allowing Royal Club to stall the game long enough for Uzi's Tristana to do work. But game 4 was a thunderous slamming of the door that gave White a world championship. I mentioned it before, but now I need to go in depth to Riot's new rulings at the end of the 2014 season. Firstly, Riot needed to do something to stop the bleeding that was already happening, mainly in North America. In the 2014 season, Team Solomid announced the signing of European up-and-coming mid laner Bjergsen. This would go down as the first major international signing, and their success following his pickup seemed to prove that importing talent would be the new way to go. This was followed with the Chinese squad LMQ crossing the Pacific and qualifying into the NALCS with a fully Chinese roster who basically walked their way into the World Championship. To be fully clear, this roster was a generally poor LPL roster who only went 8-13 in the summer season back home. SamsungGalaxy in particular was the center of a lot of rumors of forming a new Samsung Red team to send overseas to try and qualify another team for Worlds. This was the introduction of an old problem that had been plaguing the StarCraft ecosystem for some time, where tournaments ended up becoming Korean Koreans versus American Koreans versus European Koreans, with entire tournaments being made of Korean talent simply playing under different regions, and so Riot needed to take a stand. Riot created a new residency rule for the 2015 season, which would cap the number of non-domestic talent on each team at 2 players, grandfathering in players like Bjergsen and the LMQ squad who had moved in before the ruling was made. This ruling will definitely end up being good for the North American and European ecosystems down the road, as teams turn to fostering domestic talent over importing Koreans. But besides the Red rumors, this issue doesn't really concern Samsung that much, does it? No, what hurts Samsung is the ruling that comes down the OGN pipeline. KESPA is the organization in charge of basically all esports in Korea, including League of Legends in November of 2014. And their new ruling for the OGN format is going to warp the Korean ecosystem for the foreseeable future, as they now prohibit their teams from holding multiple rosters, aka the no sister teams rule. This brings Korea in line with the other regions under Riot who already had these rules in place. The aftermath of this ruling is beneficial for some teams like SKT and CJ Entus, who now got to combine 2 weak rosters into 1 stronger one, but for organizations like Samsung and KT Rolster, who boasted 2 top 5 Korean rosters, this news was devastating. The aftermath of this ruling is going to cause the event known as the Korean Exodus. The ruling, essentially at its heart, is going to cut the number of OGN teams at any given time from around 16 to 8, and the NLB, where most of the up-and-coming Korean talent was playing, was destroyed in favor of a challenger league like the LCS had. This causes most of the Korean superstars to flee Korea, who already was known for low player pay, especially compared to China and North America. SamsungGalaxy lost all 10 of its players to China during this move, and other regional stars like Piglet and Impact fled to North America, whilst young talent like Huni and Reignover went to Europe. In total, the Chinese LPL would feature 22 Koreans amongst its 12 teams, the North American LCS would feature 15 amongst its 10 teams, and the European LCS would feature 4 amongst its 10 teams, all drastically up from the previous split. This puts SamsungGalaxy in an awkward position. Sure, they were qualified in as one of the best organizations in the past year, but they now featured 0 of the same players, picking up rookies Kuve, Eve, Bliss, and Ace, alongside journeymen Fury and Wraith. You remember Wraith. He used to play under the name Casper. Yep, that Casper. And, well, this SamsungGalaxy team is terrible. They managed only a 2-12 record in the spring and a 6-26 record in individual games, beating only the 6th and 7th place teams once each. Maybe worst of all is that none of their new players were really looking promising. Samsung Galaxy were forced to play in the summer promotion series to retain their spot in Korea's top league, but were able to do so without much issue. Samsung brought in a new mid laner in Crown to replace Ace and a new support player Luna to split time with Wraith. The team achieved some marginally better success, albeit benefiting greatly from the league's expansion to 10 teams, and the new and weak Rebels Anarchy and Sabenu Sonic Boom rosters. Samsung fought to a 6-12 record at 7th place, boosted by 3 wins over the newcomers. Samsung sat at home and got to watch SKT go win their 2nd World Championship, without being there to defend it. This rolls us into the 2016 LCK Spring. Samsung made some changes in the offseason, picking up CoreJJ as their new bot laner after a stint in North America as part of a mid-lane Dignitas roster who placed 9th in spring and 6th in summer, and Ambition. And if you think Samsung's journey this far has been a ride, wait until we talk about Ambition.
한때는 정말 미드의 패왕이었죠.
Kang, Ambition, Chanyang is to older players a League of Legends god. His career starts even further back than Faker, SKT, or Samsung. Ambition joins the new roster of Mig Blaze in November of 2011, alongside Reaper, Helios, Captain Jack, and Lustboy, and that roster of 5 is a legendary one to any LoL fan from before 2013. Mig Blaze, alongside their sister team Mig Frost, crushed the original OGN tournament in the spring of 2012, including Blaze beating the 2011 World Champion Fnatic squad in groups. The two teams would win their way to the finals, where Blaze would win 3-0. In between spring and summer, the two teams would leave Mig for Azubu, and Blaze would attend the MLG Summer Arena event where they handily beat North American fan favorites TSM. Returning to Korea, they went on a tear in the summer season, sweeping their group 3-0, including a win over Chinese powerhouse Team WE. Blaze and Frost would once again sling their way into the bracket stage, meeting this time in the semifinals, where things would be a little different. Before the summer, Frost scouted a new superstar top laner Shy and plugged him into the roster, and that change had monumental success. Frost is able to beat Blaze 3-2, and they go on to beat CLG EU 3-2 in the finals, securing their way to the 2012 World Championship as Korea's first seed. Blaze wouldn't be so lucky. They were upset by Macnoon's Najin Sword in the 3rd place match, and again 2-3 in the regional finals, sending Najin to Worlds. Blaze would have to stay home and watch as Frost went to the World Finals, falling to the Dark Horse Taipei Assassins 3-1. The team had some modest success following, winning MLG Fall with Shy as the sub-top laner in the absence of Reaper, including a finals win over Najin Sword. The team would pick up a new permanent top laner in Flame and play in the legendary IPL 5 tournament, but would have to settle for an 7th-8th finish after losing to Moscow 5 2-1. The team would regroup for IEM Katowice in early 2013 and would win their group 3-0, including beating the former Moscow 5 roster, now Gambit Gaming, and a newly surging Fnatic team 2-1 in the semifinals. Gambit hadn't been put away, however, and they swept Frost 2-0 in the semifinals and Blaze 2-0 in the finals. Whilst this might just sound like a good team beating other good teams, this is a humiliation for Blaze and Frost, as Gambit had been slumping hard after their elimination in the 2012 World Semifinals, and were arguably playing in the worst form of their careers coming into the event. Back in Korea for the OGN winter season, Blaze played fairly well, placing 2nd in their group to KT Rolster B and met Frost in the semifinals again, where they lost 3-2 and 3-2 in a best-of-3, best-of-5 set. Frost would go on to be swept by Najin Sword in the finals, and Blaze would drop to the KT Bullets 3-0 in the 3rd place match. By the start of the OGN spring, the teams have left Azubu to join CJ Entus. Blaze will place 2nd in their group once again, this time to Faker's SKT. Hey, you remember this guy?
A relatively weak player.
Whoa, Ambition! What? Faker just executes Ambition in that mid lane.
That's Ambition. This moment is seen as a cornerstone in LCK history, as the old best mid laner in Korea is slain and summarily dismissed by the new god Faker. Ambition, by this point, is clearly over the hump as a mid laner in Korea, and following this, his performance continues to drop. Blaze would be fine for this tournament, as they beat SKT's first team 3-0 in the quarterfinals, and also beat Frost 3-0 in the semifinals, before losing to MVP Ozone 0-3. And while looking forward, this just looks like Ozone's coming of age. At the time, this was seen as a monumental upset, as the legendary Blaze lost to a band of newcomers. The team heads into the summer season feeling okay, and even win their group, but are once again defeated in the quarterfinals by KTB. Blaze would limp into the 2014 year with some changes. Daydream replaced Helios in the jungle, and Emperor joined to split time with Captain Jack at ADC. Blaze would once again have a good group stage, only losing to Faker's SKT, but would get dropped by the KT Bullets again 3-1 in the quarterfinals. By this point in time, Blaze is clearly below the top tier of Korean League of Legends. The spring season sees a small return for Blaze as they are able to beat the KT Arrows 3-1 in the quarterfinals, but lose to Najin White Shield 3-2 in the semifinals, and then lose again to Samsung Ozone 3-2 in the third place match. Still, they look markedly improved now with Emperor as the main ADC. The team enters the summer with some hope. They'll need a strong finish to have a shot at Worlds, but they do have a shot. Gunza replaces Lustboy at support as he migrates to play for TSM. The team flops in groups, losing to the KT Arrows and only managing a draw against the weaker Jin Air Stealths, Captain Jack's new team. Captain Jack goes off against his former team, and the young Fly is able to outplay his veteran Ambition. The team's elimination before the playoffs for the first time ever is a troubling one, and Blaze and Frost undergo some internal strife, part of which is fueling the rumors of Samsung Red, which will supposedly have Shy and Mad Life from Frost. Ambition's career at this point is tumbling, and so the no sister teams rule comes as a bit of a blessing in disguise to him. CJ Entis decides to go with Coco from Frost as the team's mid laner, so Ambition moves to the jungle position. The new roster of Shy, Ambition, Coco, Space, and Mad Life looks decent on paper, except for Space, who has been a bit of a meme over the last couple of years. CJ Entis in the 2015 LCK Spring is a huge surprise. The team plays well and is able to split with SKT en route to a 10-4 record in third place. And whilst Coco is having a great season in the mid lane, and Space seems to have developed into an alright player, Ambition is the huge talk for the team as he places 4th in the MVP standings, the highest of any of his team. CJ Entis will overcome Jin Air 3-0 and push SKT to 5 games before losing. And while they do indeed lose, for CJ Entis fans and fans of Ambition, this season was a massive success. Ambition and Shy tie for 3rd in the playoff MVP standings and look to summer for continued success. CJ Entis are able to go 12-6 and maintain their 3rd place spot, including being the only team all season able to take a set off of SKT. And Coco has really come into his own as the primary carry for the team. The team enters the summer playoffs with some hope, but are squashed by the Ku Tigers 3-0. Still, their performance has been good enough to earn them a spot in the regional gauntlet, where they meet Jin Air in the semifinals. Jin Air shows up to play, going up 2-0 over CJ Entis, but CJ returned to tie up the series, including a huge Rek'Sai performance by Ambition in Game 4.
Yeah, they really want to equalize this. If GBM can land the Rune Prison. Oh, Coco comes in. There's Rune Prison. Coco in a lot of trouble. Getting very low. Chaser comes in. They get the kill. Chaser knocked back under turret, though. Nice play by Madlife. Kill for Ambition as CJ responds. Jin Air going to respond by just pushing that mid lane forward. Maybe they can do a bit of damage to the turret. Ambition gets Rune Prison. He stayed a little bit too close. Gets it really poked up. Oh, again! Madlife pushing Shay under now. Shay forced the flash, gets killed by the turret. Madlife making plays in the mid lane.
And if Madlife doesn't want to play League anymore, Coco's coming.
He's back. GBM still no flash. I don't think he can get out of this one. Another nice knock up in Madlife.
Space just hasn't shown a lot of flexibility. He's been a Sivir Corki main like the most as GBM puts on the Nikes.
Oh, they're going in. Coco thinks he catches GBM. He could. There's the exhaust on him. Can Jin Air close it out? Coco getting very low. Fizzle helps out. No, he gets a kill on GBM. Wild Growth, he's still alive. That's a double kill. CJ all over this game, and Trace is going to get caught too. Nothing.
Ambition.
Oh, Ambition finds Chaser. Chilling Smite, gonna get him.
Look at the pink wards littering the red side jungle of Jin Air.
Arrow onto Coco, but Madlife comes in immediately. Madlife getting a bit low, but they've got a low health. Jin Air members 3 knockups from Ambition, and CJ all over this one again. GBM taken out by Shy. It's just gonna Wild Growth himself, and Jin Air having to flee away from their tier 2. Ambition comes in, gets hit with the Rune Prison. Coco gets into the back lines, nice 3-man. Oh boy, that's a big rocket. Coco with the Zonias. That's going to leave Ambition and Mad Life to wreak havoc in GBM and the rest of Jin Air. 2 kills already. CJ having no issues at all in that fight. Jin Air really trying to go for some kind of Hail Mary engages there, but
sadly for CJ Entus, it just wasn't meant to be. The team falls 3-2 to Jin Air, eliminated from Worlds once again. At this point, Ambition has had a really rough career. He's had so much hype behind him so many times, and each time has fallen short of glory, including some horrific upset losses and a tendency to underperform when it matters the most. Perhaps worst of all is that he is a legend of the scene, but has never made it to Worlds. Ready to move on, Ambition leaves the roster he's called home for his entire career since it began in 2011, and joins Samsung Galaxy as their jungler for the 2016 spring. In the spring of 2016, Samsung Galaxy improved. They fought to a 10-8 record, narrowly missing out on the playoffs, losing the game record tiebreaker to the Jin Air Green Wings and Afrika Freaks. In between the spring and summer, Samsung picked up Bung to play ADC. Bung had played in the Korean Challenger League and impressed greatly, leading to Samsung offering him a contract. Bung renamed to Ruler and joined, causing CoreJJ to shift down to support, sitting behind Wraith. The team's new starting roster now being Kuve, Ambition, Crown, Ruler, and Wraith, with the occasional subbing in of CoreJJ. The team fought to a 12-6 record in the summer, good for 4th place. The results were good, but lacked a championship quality, only managing a single win against Rox Tigers and none against SKT or their nemesis KT Rolster. Samsung got into the playoffs, beating Afrika 2-0 and moving on to a rematch with KT Rolster, which did not go well for Samsung. They suffered a 3-0 beating at the hands of KT Rolster, who went on to upset SKT before losing to Rox in the finals. This sent Rox to Worlds as the top dog from Korea, and SKT would get in second off points. Samsung placed into the regional gauntlet for a rematch against the Afrika Freaks, which they won 3-1. After dropping the first game of the series, Samsung swapped out Wraith for CoreJJ, leading to 3 straight wins. This would mark the official swap of CoreJJ into the starting roster as the team headed into a rematch with KT Rolster to decide the final Korean team going to the World Championship. KT Rolster came into the series heavily favored, featuring a roster that is about as veteran as it could be. Someday, Score, Arrow, and Hachani were all KT Rolster veterans, all with the team for at least 2 years by this point, and the added Fly, you remember Fly, a hotshot mid laner who'd been on the rise since 2014. KT Rolster is basically the definition of always the bridesmaid, never the bride, as they enter a World season with a ton of hype, but never end up making it, to the point of becoming a community meme. The team is able to make Worlds in 2015, but with arguably their least exciting roster of all time, and indeed they are defeated by the KOO Tigers in the top 8 3-1. Their shot in 2016 feels a lot stronger, and they are on the cusp of greatness until Samsung Galaxy showed up. Samsung Galaxy, now with CoreJJ in at support, opened the series with a victory over KT Rolster, and while the series is a slugfest, Samsung are able to emerge victorious 3-2, earning their way back to Worlds, 2 years from their triumph, built from the ground back up.
Back though, getting lower. They're going to go for it. Score looking to steal. Slicing Maelstrom for Kuve. That's a double kill immediately. Samsung crushes the team fight. They destroy KT, and that's got to be the series right there. Fly gets away. Score gets away as well, but can Samsung end right here?
They might be able to. What a play from Kuve with the flash and the proto belt. Completely caught KT off guard. Score was just in the pit trying to steal it, and Crown's going to get the kill with the tether.
That's it. Only Score left. And Samsung, the improbable, the impossible is happening. They are going to Worlds after losing 19 games in a row, not beating KT Rolster since 2014. Ambition, 1 game away from Worlds and not making it 4 years ago. Now today, 2016, Ambition and Samsung are going to Worlds. GG.
What a huge moment for Ambition. His first World Championship, one of the longest tenured players in the entire world of League of Legends.
They arrive at Worlds and draw a group with the Royal Never Give Up squad that features Uzi and Looper and Mata. Remember them? the former world champions with Samsung White. Looper and Mata found their way to Masters 3 and then to Vici Gaming, where they dwelled in the middle tiers of the LPL for a while. But at the start of the 2016 season, find their way to RNG, where they win the LPL spring season and go to the mid-season invitational. The team plays well, dominating the early parts of the group stage before suffering a strange upset loss to CLG. Still, they exit in first and face the aforementioned slumping SKT team, who beats them 3-1. The team struggles to match the performances of their Korean superstars, but Whoosh especially so.
Yeah. Vandal donated $1. Watch the dragon fight again, see what Lucian did, lol. Okay.
Let's sure.
Ah, the $1 rewind.
No, that was a good click back there.
Can they do it? They have just fight Baron and a dragon.
So here comes
Lucian misses the culling.
Walks in and dies.
Holy shit! What the fuck? Is this actually a boosted animal? Holy shit!
That was the best dollar donation.
Well done, man. That was very good.
What was he trying to hit?
Let's watch it again in slow motion.
That was hilarious. You were correct, sir. I wasn't even paying attention to the
So
he gets 3 or 4 shots on
on on Darshan.
Hey man.
He hit 4 shots. So he actually like
gonna get some damages in.
But
What?
what was that, like 2-0 ultimates or 2 Sand Soldiers into like a shot from Kindred and he just fucking popped like.
Well, he's not gonna live through that.
Oh my god.
He into like 3 people.
I like how George called him a boosted animal. That's definitely a Korean insult there. That's an invent special.
Yeah,
I know it is.
Causing the team to sign back Uzi, who had been bouncing around to other orgs since 2015. The team is able to continue their dominance into the LPL summer season, but are unable to close the season with a win, being dispatched 3-0 by an Edward Gaming roster who seems bound for a deep championship run. The Samsung vs Royal Never Give Up matchup is expected to be a coin flip for control of the group, but Samsung is able to win handily 2-0, and despite a loss to TSM early on, are able to clear the group stage in first 5-1. The team meets Cloud9 in the quarterfinals and destroys them in front of the hometown Chicago crowd 3-0.
북미 팬들에게 미안하지만 저희도 이기려고 여기 왔고.
Crown moves fast. He gets the signal. Petrifying gaze. Smoothie gets taken down. And it looks like Samsung Galaxy will be moving on.
They followed that performance up with a 3-0 victory over European team H2K.
눈앞에 결승이 있다 보니까 결승까지 가고 싶어요.
No flash. Oh, never mind. We got more action. Ryu's in so much trouble. Pounce is flashed away from, but Ambition gets one.
Diddley showing up for Cunningham, and now Ryu has the summoner.
Ryu's dead, no doubts about it. Number 1, you gave Crown Victor.
And Ambition, he's got something to prove.
A 3-0 sweep of Europe's H2K will send Samsung Galaxy to the World Final.
Both of these series surely show Samsung's superiority, but are not telling of their relationship to the other Korean teams on the other side of the bracket. And if you remember way back to the beginning of this video, you'll notice that their match in the World Finals is indeed SK Telecom T1. Did I mention that the 2017 edition that this entire video is based on is a rematch? SKT enters the World Finals as a huge favorite, having knocked out a contender in RNG and beaten the Korean champion ROX Tigers in a brutal 5-game slugfest. These series are much closer, but the competition is believed to be a much higher level than Samsung's so far. The series begins with a long 54-minute struggle in Game 1, which Samsung Galaxy outplays until the very end, where SKT walks away with the victory. This is the type of loss that would break a lesser team, and especially so because Crown got to play his signature champion Victor, and still couldn't pull out a victory.
So chooses. This makes it difficult for Crown. Look, he already burned some summoner spells, and he's ulted now twice just to shove out the wave. Might have some kill threat.
Flashes still gets got the last tick. He's Crown solo kills Faker. Look at the minimap. Ambition. He's coming in from behind. Sonic Wave needs to hit. Flash kick into the Sonic Wave. Now bangs the target. Ambition sidesteps away. Bengi's running in. The kill. He outplays the Ragnarok and the Ghost. Core JJ will go down, gets run down, and Bengi's got a seconds.
Area, and they need to actually go and take some pressure back, which is they're going for now.
Shockwave on two, and that's just easy. And Ambition gets dunked.
The minions are going to kill the last Nexus turret if they don't immediately retreat to clear them.
There's no time for Samsung. They have to go. The minions
That's a two-man route. Bang and Wolf are in trouble. The Poppy Hammer throws up. Shockwave pulls Ambition back into it. Bang is down. Where is Faker? Gravity Field splitting them up. It's a double kill for Ruler. He's looking for more. Juve fighting for his life. Juve and Bengi, they're going toe-to-toe. The GA was popped. Here comes Duke in the base. The Nexus turret still stands. Ambition is clearing. And Samsung Galaxy live to fight another day.
Samsung stand tall, but the Nexus turret still goes down.
And that just goes to show how they had to go at that exact moment. Any later, minions would have killed the Nexus. They killed the carries first. Just because Crown and Ruler actually have enough damage to kill him here, but Ruler's in trouble, but Bengi takes so much damage. Flash away from CoreJJ. Ambition's looking for Bengi. Faker gets caught up. That's the shutdown. Faker goes golden. He's killed by Ruler. What can Ruler do? Nothing. He's killed by Bang. That's 80 carry and mid laner down. There is a reply onto Bang though as Q-Face doing work in the back line. Wolf is pinned against the wall. Duke has to fight this one out for SK Telecom. He's trading with Q-Face. He traded. He sold.
Who can kill Trundle right now? All the damage from Samsung is dead.
Nobody. The inhibitor's the target. Ambition forced to ward hop to safety. SK Telecom take another inhibitor. They turn their attention to the Nexus. They're going to go for the Nexus. Duke is stunned temporarily. The Nexus is being killed. There's 2 members of Samsung against 3 members of SK Telecom. And the Nexus goes down. The defending world champions win game 1.
SKT rolls this momentum into a much easier victory in Game 2, where SKT thoroughly outclasses Samsung, and it appears, as expected, the title is SKT's for the taking.
Turns the pressure around. Bang, bang. Unstoppable as Cuve is shut down. Duke going to be able to Mega Gnar out. Not too long. Hops forward, looking for more. For JJ. Kicked against the wall. Locked against the wall. Duke gnaws Crown. Petrifying Gaze. Not going to be enough. And Duke will get popped, but just the GA. Round one from Faker will allow him to get a double kill onto Ruler at 30 minutes into the game. SKT, they still have to run back out and kill an inhibitor tower.
You can't help but just applaud SKT for that play, because you call them a slower, methodical team, but when they have the advantage, they do know how to take it. Ace inside the base without clearing out the inhibitor turrets. They managed to get everyone in there, and they might push for the win here.
Ambition left alone under the Nexus turrets against all of SKT's. Rune Prison down. This time gets the respite out, but it won't be enough. Q-Base caught out, sent back to the fountain. The Samsung Galaxy, they cannot defend their Nexus. SK Telecom jumping forward for more. CoreJJ on the steps of the fountain is killed by the god Faker himself. And SKT are 2-0 in the finals.
And that's the type of defeat you don't want to have if you're Samsung, because this is the momentum building of SKT's War Machine, as they are now 1 game away from their 3rd World Championship in 4 years.
That is, until Samsung comes back to life in Game 3. Samsung plays an ultra-long game, going 71 minutes and anchored by Ambition's great play on Lee Sin. They managed to win a backbreaker the way SKT did to them in Game 1.
Even more for it. Well, this would be a time to try and get back. They scout it with the True Shot Barrage. You'd want SKT to make
Juve has teleport. Samsung can try and make a play back on the damage.
Ruler's jumped forward, already used the True Shot Barrage. Wolf is killed by Ambition. It looks like Samsung are coming back. They've killed Faker, found Bengi, and moving on to Duke. Crown, he's tagging him with the stars. They're peeling backwards. Baron's the target.
They can get it. They already have 4 Drakes. None of them are mountains, but they've killed 3. Bang would have his ultimate, and Duke doesn't. So this is gonna slingshot him back.
Yeah, SKT so risky. They slip up here. Amount of work in that team.
Samsung's going for Baron.
They're the ones tanking it.
All of SKT is here.
Curtain calls, firing, lands onto Cube. Star Surge not going to stun anybody. Crown's taking damage, throws down the GLP. Baron's helping out. Only Cube is caught. Faker's tagged. Bangs on the back line. Faker uses the hourglass. He's bought so much time. GA's popping. Faker is killed. Duke gets his GA popped as well. He's going to spawn, but here comes Bang. Bang's running low on ammo. Whisper wants blood, but he's running away. Deadly Flourish finds nobody, and this time round, SKT stop Baron at the cost of Faker's life.
Looks like SKT can get this, but teleport, they're trying to stop it.
SKT have got so much damage, I don't think they'll get here in time. Baron down to 1,500, looks like it's secured. Baron and Elder for SKT. Cuba's now left alone, no support, until Ambition safeguards his way into the pit.
Faker has Shockwave.
They're locked in, stunned up against the wall. Bengi is popped. The GA looking to respawn. Cube still running for his life. Ruler, true shot barrage, gonna be dodged by the rebound. Bang, he's out of mana. That's a great hammer. Ambition is still fighting in the front line. Ruler running low on mana. The Arcane shifts forward, trading off. That's a shutdown. That's another. Duke is now the next target. GA pop inside the pit. Ruler sends a mystic shot over the tri-bush. Duke is going to die. It's a double for Ruler. SKT lose 3. Samsung are going to start Baron, and will they look to complete it or peel for the fight? We're going to find out.
Here we go, all 5 in the pit. They'd want to peel off. They saw Faker in the lane. He can't make it to the fight immediately. They might just try to burst it.
It looks like they're going for the burst. Ambition dives back in. It's secured. Samsung get the Baron. Now they need to win the fight. Ambition dives in. GA's not popped just yet. Crown, Core JJ. They're gone. And stock up. Look at that hammer.
There's a shockwave.
Shockwave. Faker uses the hourglass to stay alive. Ambition, Ruler, and Crown running for their lives. They need to survive. Duke, Bengi flashes forward. His GA's now popped. Ruler's still got a lot of hit points, a lot of mana, but he doesn't have a lot of support. Crown is down, and Ruler's running for his life. He has flash and heal, but 3 members to deal with. The powered minions, it's not done yet. Flash and heal still up for Ruler. Here comes Ambition, sidesteps away from the deadly flourish.
This is 3 versus 5, and Samsung are cornered. SKT close in.
But they lose Ruler. Now Faker's the target. Ambition's got a GA. Cuve's doing what he can. He too can survive for a few seconds longer. Flash away from Ambition. The Baron still stands. Can he defend? They need to buy time. 30 seconds for Core JJ. Another Shockwave. A Shockwave started the fight. A Shockwave ends the fight.
He flashes in the proper direction. SKT, though, right for Elder. I think this
Samsung are running for Baron, though, right now, trying to establish vision control and force SKT to face tech that Ambition.
Ambition steals the Elder Dragon. He gets away with 2 lives.
This is a 4 Drake Elder Dragon. He lives. Ambition saves the game once again.
Could that be the breaking point that sends Samsung in Game 4 in this endless game?
2013 LCK mid-lane all-star, transfers to jungle, picks Faker in multiple fights, steals the Elder Dragon, and buys Samsung a chance at the Baron.
He has been so clutch this game, the initiations as well as the steal, but he has to do it again. All 3.
That's 3.
Here we go, SKT last stand.
Samsung Galaxy and SKT have had the longest game at Worlds 2016, and the world might be stunned if Samsung can close this out. They're on the pressure. The Nexus turrets are being focused, and there's so many minions.
3 inhibitors down, double stacked up, super minions empowered by the Baron buff. This is the onslaught Samsung were waiting to pull off.
Duke's in trouble. He gets kicked the wrong way, though. Crown throws out the Voice of Light. Bang is down, then forced away. He's onto the fountain to regen. The first Nexus turret is down. I asked if you believe. Staples, you got behind Samsung. They're now in the final fight. Stranglethorns buys down. Crown's in trouble, but it's Duke that gets killed. Ruler, Arcane shifts forward once again. So aggressive.
They're so low.
Crown barely lives, and he's going to have to go back to face the heal after that one. But Samsung are going to build it without him.
It's not over. The Nexus is down. Samsung stun the world and defeat SKT for their first game in finals.
Standing ovation from the crowd here at Staples Center, but a measured response from Samsung, because that's what it took to win 1 game against SKT. They need to do it twice more.
But the most important part is that now their faith is restored. Samsung again can come into the next game with some confidence.
Game 4 goes long again, and this time it's Ruler and Core JJ who come to play as they crush SKT's Bang and Wolf in the bottom lane. The series is now 2-2.
Coming in from behind. And the fight's now going to break out. Gravity Field will pull Blank backwards. That should be the GA pot. Cell Division still available. Curtain Call interrupted. Very good tidal wave. He's found 3. Blank charges up the Maelstrom. The slingshot. Faker's down. Samsung get 3. All right, Dragon is going to reset. The minion wave continues to push. Duke has arrived. He's in the pit. No flash available. Elder Dragon down to 4,000. It seems to be focused. Samsung
Blank combo
away. It's not reset just yet. Curtain Call onto Wolf is going to get interrupted by the tidal wave. And Cuvee has found Bang and Rachel push them away. But Blank is bouncing all up in Samsung Galaxy. The shockwave kills Cuvee. Blank is going low. Blank is going to flash away. Duke's in trouble. Ruler can't get the kill. He does in the end. Sends him packing with a deadly flourish. Now Duke's in trouble. The GA's pop. Ruler gets another. Finds the shutdown. Turns his attention into Duke. And Samsung Galaxy are pushing into the base.
Ruler, Rookie of the Year, flashes forward for the play for Samsung to get back inside the base.
Jungler on jungler action. Shockwave catches Ruler, but the Defiance comes up. Crown shuts him down. That's a good kill. The third inhibitor falls. Samsung waiting for the supers.
Can't cut all the minion waves. Cuvee's here now.
Cuvee is running into Blank. That's the GA. That's gone down. Cell Division might still be up and it will not matter.
With 3 inhibitors down and 2 players, it's a matter of time, you would think. It's just Bang, Wolf, and Duke to try and prevent a Game 5.
Oh, let's see the final push. Samsung Galaxy, they throw down the curtain call. The music is about to play. Silver Scrapes, cue it up. Samsung now running for their lives. Ash Arrow onto Cuvee. Gets a crowd. The slicing Maelstrom. That's Bang packing. There's not done yet. The Nexus turrets are the focus. And Staples Center play the Silver Scrapes. Samsung and SKT are going to Game 5.
And 22 minutes into Game 3, you never would have thought this would be possible. But now Samsung is 1 win away from being a world champion.
Game 5, well, games don't get much more heartbreaking than this one. Maybe most devastatingly, Faker snatches Crown signature victor for himself to do so. Samsung is unable to deal with the unkillable Demon King, and SKT goes on to lift the Summoner's Cup for the 3rd time.
First blood picked up by Wolf.
Wow! Banky comes back into the scene.
On the bottom half of the map, there's a Abyssal Voyage. He's going to deliver Core JJ and Ambition. Flash away from Bang. He gets gobbled up from the tongue lashing. Will go down. Root in place, not going to lock down Wolf. But Crown has roamed, and Wolf gets the kill.
And that's the Core JJ playmaking right there on Tom Kench. The instant he hits level 6, he brings Ambition in and the roam from Crown. As far as the map right now, they might catch Faker.
Faker's the target, but he tries to turn it around. Defensive flash from Ruler. Faker is shut down. Ruler gets the kill. Teleport's completed for Duke as well as Cuvee. Unbreakable is up. Ash Arrow stuns up. Core JJ, that's not the most important target. Petrifying Gaze flashed away from. Duke is caught down. Core JJ licks him to death. The tower is the focus, and Samsung have the advantage.
Massive catch, and it's as Faker is trying to get aggressive onto Ruler. He does not have the burst this time. They get the mid lane turret, and they can help bring back the speed balance with the Cloud Drake if they're able to take this one.
Out on a bit of the time where they did have some momentum.
Ruler! He gets devoured by Core JJ. He's in so much trouble. Flashes away to safety. Curtain Call not up, and Core JJ dies. Why were they so far forward?
Ruler has done that multiple times, gets super aggressive when unnecessary. This costs his team tremendously. Core JJ sacrifices his life and Baron control.
This could be where the advantages spill over. Cuvee does have a teleport, but SKT have Baron at half, and they have the vision control.
Here comes Cuvee and Crown. Petrifying Gaze is available. It's now a 2 versus 4. Flash! Crown is in so much trouble. Concussive blows. Get to Petrifying Gaze. That's just going to delay the inevitable. Crown goes down! And Samsung's team composition. The arrow this time goes between the goalposts. Cuvee's under threat. deadly flourish as Samsung are under pressure. This is buying time for those super minions to pour in, kick around. Crown's able to flash so he doesn't get caught, but Cube's down.
And it's a war of attrition. They're just waiting for them, wrecking them in a fight.
Duke flashes forward, chomps down to kill Crown. SK Telecom have got 2, make that 3 kills. The curtain call is a fitting end to the World Championship as Samsung Galaxy are being dove under their tower. SK Telecom have overcome every challenge. They are the undisputed best team in the world. The SKT reign continues. They win their 3rd World Championship.
And you better believe the crowd's giving a standing ovation after that one. This was an incredibly hard-fought series. SKT had to earn this one till the very end. The way they played the last 20 minutes of that 5th game was incredibly clean.
Enter 2017. SKT loses Duke in the offseason as their rotating door of top laners continues on. This time, they bring in Huni. Yes, the Huni who got his start in 2015 on the Fnatic roster that took SKT to 5 games, and who was a rumored member of the planned Samsung Red roster. After that season, he left Europe to play for Immortals in North America, where he and the team performed exceptionally well, but came up just short in series play, missing out on Worlds. They also brought in Peanut as a new jungler. Peanut was a young superstar in the making, having breakout performances for the Rocks Tigers the previous year. This new-look SKT at this point in time looked like a super team on par with the Golden State Warriors, and whilst Peanut's move to SKT isn't seen as a Kevin Durant move amongst the community, it is definitely a close analog in its perceived effect on the league. SKT wins the regular season 16-2, with Samsung behind at 14-4, but the org split their series 1-1. The teams don't get to have a decider in the playoffs, as Samsung falls to the new KT Rolster roster, now boasting Smeb, Score, Pawn, Deft, and Mata in the semifinals 3-0, and KT Rolster then goes on to be swept by SKT 3-0. SKT goes on to continue their dominance at the Midseason Invitational, where they place first in groups and sweep the Flash Wolves and beat Europe's G2 3-1 in the finals, claiming the trophy once again.
Sweep the Flash Wolves, and they will do what they have always done, achieve victory. The Flash Wolf with a giant knock is going to find 3 with the ultimate. Equalizer on top, and Perks is down. And SKT are once again the champions.
The summer season plays out a bit differently, with a retooled Longzhu Gaming who features the legendary Prey Gorilla duo from the Rocks Tiger days, and KT Rolster who finally begins playing up to their insane star potential, tying for the first place at 14-4, with SKT and Samsung right behind at 13-5. The 4 teams have a fairly interesting cross pool at this point, with Longzhu splitting with all 3, KT Rolster beating Samsung 2-0 but losing to SKT 2-0, and Samsung beating SKT 2-0. This leads to a very interesting summer playoffs. SKT starts at the bottom, beating Afrika 2-0, and then beating Samsung 3-0 before reaching KT Rolster. Now is a good time to mention Smeb in a little more detail. Smeb was a founding member of the GE Tigers in 2014, and he definitely fit the bill as someone who was told he wasn't good enough. Smeb won the Long Panda Award, given by casters to the worst top laner in Korea in the summer of 2014. On the KU Tigers, however, Smeb blossomed, being a top 5 candidate for MVP in the 2015 summer, and actually won the award in both the 2016 spring and 2016 summer. Heading into the 2016 World Championship, he was named by Riot as the best player in the entire world. But one man had always been there to halt his journey: Faker. Whilst the saying of SKT being Rox's kryptonite was centered on the team, you could argue it was most centered on Smeb, and, well, that wouldn't stop here. By this point, SKT had benched Huni, an extreme feast or famine type player, for the safer choice of Antara, and whilst Antara didn't play great in games 1 or 2, which KT Rolster won, he turned it around, beating Smeb in lane in games 3 through 5 en route to his SKT reverse sweep. Smeb's worst nightmare came true once again. SKT went on to face the hot new team Longzhu Gaming in the finals and struggled again, falling to 0-2 before subbing back in Huni to provide a much-needed spark.
That pressure advantage is gone, and so is the game plan for Longshu.
Well, Huni's now going to find Kaz once again. There's the flash now straight into the wall, and Huni grabs that kill just easily with the help of playing.
I know roughly how tanky we are, roughly how much damage we do. I'll just hold on to it as needed. You have to be proactive with it. Here's Huni with the crunch.
Yep. Oh my goodness, that hyper damage is crazy. Hextech Ultimatum comes down as Khan wants to try and get a trade back kill, but it's just not going to happen. He's got too much health as Kaz kidnaps the barrel by the looks of things. Doesn't actually, and heads back underneath the turret. Does mean that that top inner is completely exposed. Will be taken down by Huni, trying to clear waves. Here they go, they're trying to take down Huni. Hextech Ultimatum comes in once again as Gorilla looks for a PDD with the shockwaves, but Huni just takes so much punishment. Over goes Khan, but can Faker actually save him? Huni picks up the kill in the end. He dodges everything. The dazzle not enough, and he just wanders out casually.
Insane escape coming through from Huni. He feels so good in this moment, even if you don't see it in the reaction camera shot. And SKT in the bot side, what is trained down the turret. It was always going to be a kill for a turret. It's not even a kill, Atlas.
Nope, it is absolutely nothing, as now we're looking for the counter engage. Bloblets are out as Kaz not able to affect this fight anymore, but at least this turret hasn't gone down just yet. Teleport comes in. Huni looks like he just pushed over the turret with his ultimate, but it wasn't that. He manages to take down Kaz, and this looks to be the end as SKT just wiped the floor with Longshu Gaming. Only BDD to look on in horror.
Huni put on a star-making performance in Game 3, and then, as he had the tendency to do, borderline inted away his lane in Game 4, a Longshu victory.
Have to be Zach, could have been a Sejuani as well. They changed their draft so dramatically with the two bans on blue side. Kaz is spotted here by Huni, who now knows he's in a lot of trouble.
Yep, there it is. Weaver's Law comes down as well. It's just BDD wanting to get himself over for this kill that he's hungry for. Pops up into the sky as if he's saying hooray.
Sort of pick ban strategy adjustment that we did not see from KT Rolster. They were not able to make this happen, and they left the turret up so they could gank again, just to be clear.
Yep, well, the Rupture is going to hit the fat guy, but Huni is going to get beaten to a pulp. Oh my god, Khan doesn't miss.
First, they surrounded themselves with largely as a downgrade, but they are so close to engineering the finals win they never got.
And Khan so close to beating the heck out of Huni as well. Doesn't avoid the Rupture as there's the Feast. One more auto attack, the flash, the Feast. Oh, Baker is going to come in and make it a 1-for-1, but not able to save him. Denying any vision from SKT. Outside of their base gate, Huni still very, very low, is now taking a lot more damage. The base is broken in the mid lane, but can they get something back here on the side of SKT? Bang has taken down Kaz at least as Khan turning it around against Faker. Oh my god, that damage with the shock blast picks up Faker and Huni. It's going to be Prey cleaning up on the back end. Khan is still alive. My god, Blank is going to survive, but he couldn't do anything against the gigantic chase.
They are showing that they used their time in the last few weeks to make it work, and they want to end it here.
Yeah, Weaver's Law is going to split up SKT as Huni just on the wrong side of this battle. They can just focus down this Nexus, and that's what Prey is starting to do. Wolf jumps his way through the quickness. It's just going to spell his death as Blank is not tanky right now. The Feast doesn't do anything. Baker's going to explode as the massive damage from Prey is going to say goodnight to the king of the mid lane. The Nexus falls, and your new champions of the LCK is Longshu Gaming.
Longshu was heading to Worlds as the consensus best team in Korea, and SKT would be going second on points, meaning SamsungGalaxy and KT Rolster were bound for the Gauntlet. In the Gauntlet semifinals, SamsungGalaxy had to face the Afrika Freaks again. Afrika Freaks boasted some strong Korean talent in the forms of Marin and Spirit. Yep, that Marin and Spirit. Samsung opted to start Haru for the series, but it was clear he was no match for the veteran Spirit, and everyone faltered in Game 2, leading to a 2-0 Afrika lead. Ambition came back in Game 3 and played a perfect game on Zac to spring a Samsung victory, whilst Ruler and Core JJ dominated the bottom side of the map. Ambition would continue with a second perfect game on Kha'Zix in Game 4, and Kuve took it to Marin in the top lane, sending the series to a Game 5. Samsung played an extremely strong Game 5, with Ambition ending the series 3-0 personally and without a single death. Now they moved on to the heavily favored KT Rolster to decide who got the final ticket to Worlds. It's important to note that whilst you're aware of how this is going to end, at the time, Samsung were heavy underdogs, and whilst KT Rolster had lost to SKT, they still seemed like the strongest Korean roster on paper. They just needed a touch of consistency, and they could easily win a world championship. KT Rolster boasted favored matchups across the entire map, and Samsung had completely fallen flat against them previously. So when Samsung Galaxy swept KT Rolster 3-0, it was a monumental shock to League of Legends fans, especially those in Korea. Unlike so many times previously in his career, Ambition was on the good end of one of these upsets. This brings us to the 2017 World Championship. SKT draws what seems like a possibly difficult group against Edward Gaming, but EDG doesn't show up to the tournament, only managing 2 wins, albeit coming very close to beating SKT both times. But their additional losses to Cloud9 and AHQ send the Chinese powerhouse home early. Longzhu mashes their group 6-0 with only mild trouble from the Gigabyte Marines roster's Guerrilla Warfare. Samsung Galaxy fares much worse, drawing the newly all-Chinese Royal Never Give Up. RNG is able to beat Samsung both games, but Samsung handles the rest of the group to go through as the second seed in their group, leading us to an exciting quarterfinal. Longzhu Gaming draws Samsung Galaxy as their quarterfinal opponent, and most everyone expects a dominant Longzhu victory, with analysts giving a sliver of hope to Samsung if Longzhu gets too excited and oversteps. Samsung flips the script.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift, and ladies and gentlemen, quarterfinal 1 of the 2017 League of Legends World Championship starting right now. Something up his head in the mid lane. Flashes in. Oh! He knew the damage. BDD gets a solo kill the 3rd time around, pushing Crown out of lane. One more attack will slay him. The passive gonna try to time out. Oh, but Ambition charges him back for it. Here comes the wall. There's nowhere for Longzhu to go. Ulti pop as well. They're going to be durable for this one. 1 kill. Make it a second one. The barrier pop means nothing, and the second kill comes in 2 for 0 in the bot lane. Samsung Galaxy will not be stopped. Proud. Perfect kill for the patient. A sub 30-minute game 2 win for Samsung Galaxy. Kaz going to face second to Ambition. Suddenly it's going to be 4 versus 1, and there's simply no way out. Explosive Kaz buys a second, but it doesn't matter. First blood for Crown. Trumbo drops the second as well as Kaz is gone. The rocket jump forward. Ruler wants a 3rd. They're going to get a stun on Prey. He's to lose his life as well. There is nothing left to stop Samsung Galaxy as they take down their first opponent. They are the first in the semifinals, and who can really stop this team?
Ambition outjungles Kaz, and Crown is able to beat BDD in games 2 and 3. But really, it is Ruler and Core JJ who destroy Prey and Gorilla all series long. The analysts were right in that it was a one-sided series, but they got the teams mixed up, as Samsung cruised to a 3-0 win, eliminating Korea's first seed. SKT's quarterfinal matchup is a bit more testy. Misfits Gaming comes out of Europe as the second best team, and while they get eaten by SKT pretty badly in game 1, they bounce back.
Bar Alfari looking to get himself strong right onto Bang. That's going to be the barrier immediately. Cosmic Radiance as well to negate the damage. Beautiful pull onto Bang. Hansama goes deep, and it's going to be the explosive shot to take down Bang.
Big plays in the bot lane here for Misfits, and they need these big plays right now.
There, but again, not able to fight to the top side. It's going to be Cooney getting hit up hard. He does have those ninja Tommys to stop a bit of the damage. It's still going to be a 2v1 under the turret. Alfari still wants it because here comes Maxlore. It's just Peanut on the edge. Will he make it in time? Alfari tanks up first. Ignar's there as well as he speeds around the map to help the team. But now it's about getting Maxlore out. Can they help him? Cosmic Radiance and Cataclysm down onto him. And SKT get one back, but it's straight in right back. Retribution kill coming in for Hansama.
Very powerful, and Misfits gonna group up. They already have this turret low.
And onto Wolf. If they can take the Cosmic Radiance down before it's used, that means SKT is gonna have to back off.
And Peanut is so low. If he comes over here, he could get burst down. Ignar's looking for the hook, but SKT is coming in.
This is going to be the back and forth. Peanut just on the outside. A quick shield coming in and a heal for Wolf. Baker's going to split the crew right through the uprights, and he's going to say, walk this way. The team's going to have to meet him on the other side. The cleanse comes out. That's the shot from Ignar. Taken down before Cosmic Radiance. The left The rest of the team is left wondering, and Misfits is looking at Baron. It's exactly what Ignar was saying. Ignite still up for him, 0-0-5. Him and his bot lane full kill participation.
Nice side step, they can turn this around. TV's moving in.
Very, very low. Wolf looking for the dazzle, but he couldn't get Bastion onto Huni, so it's not going to stop any of the damage. SKT is being picked apart.
Ignar's going to be looking for hooks.
Alive and healthy, much more ready to go. He gets pulled in by not his own choice. Peanut goes down. There's no smite fight. Misfits are going to pick up Baron unless Faker hits the shot, and that's Maxlor's.
No smite, no feast for SKT. Misfits are playing the game of their lives right now.
Consistency and confidence. From game one, they kept going forward. Game two, they keep going forward. And SKT's base has been broken. 23 minutes in, Misfits delivering the same medicine.
Let's remind everyone that game one was 25 minutes long. And
Faker pulled straight from the Valkyrie from his package. Ultimate coming in from Maxlor. The inhibitor's broken and Hans Sama jumps forward. It is Alfari already coming in from the side of the map, and it looks like they are going to have positioning on the Nexus turret. Flash towards the fountain. Bang stays alive.
Going mega.
Very low and getting down, and it looks like Alfari in the back of the fight. He says, it's my birthday. I'm going to grab some kills, and that's going to be a pickup for Hans Sama. The Nexus is going to be open, and Misfits are going to find the victory in game two over SK Telecom T1.
Do you believe it? The Misfits from Challenger to the world stage, challenging SKT. Get destroyed in game one. Bounce back, making it that much more impressive. Faker looks mad.
Playoffs. Of course, he could have spent the entire week just practicing Talia only to have it ready for this game.
And I'm always going to give Faker the credit that he can play any champion in the game. And despite the fact that there are multiple support bans on the playmakers, Rakan is still available.
Yes.
So they're targeting more Ignar as a player rather than actually, the support champion. Oh my God, the Leona, this makes so much sense going into Lulu. We talk about champions that can pick on Lulu in the early game. We talked about Thresh. We talked about Blitz. We did not talk about the Leona.
Shame on us.
This is a pick. I mean, this is something you talk about last year. Misfortune coming out and changing a series. Actually abysmal. You need to be able to go aggressive or you can't do anything.
Well, they try to get to the front already. Ignite goes down immediately. No flash forward, but the heal comes out. They turn to Wolf as Bang feels like he can get back into the fight. Just 150
Hans Sama has no heal.
Hans Sama. One more shot as Wolf wants the glitter lands. Bang almost got it. Barrier comes in. Blood onto Bang. Fight in the jungle still. Here comes Hans Sama. Wolf's going down. 2 kills in the bot lane as Misfits pull the trigger.
Misfits will not back down. They're on the Maxlor, though Faker is moving up, but they have killed both the bot lane in 2v2. Blank is level 1. He's gonna get pushed out of the jungle, and Maxlor gets his red buff. Misfits get everything.
Listen, everyone always says,
Listen, Wolf gets hit. They're right onto him. Here comes Maxlor, too, to get a piece of the party. He gets the chance to get in with the shield, and now the assists are going across the map.
Good luck clearing the waves against this. Tristana is going to be pushing, and they're looking to fight again, but maybe too far.
Under the turret, condemned, and that's going to be Ignar going down. They're still going to trade on to Bang. Bang cannot get into the fight, but neither can Hans Sama or Maxlor. They back up, and they have to watch out for Faker.
Again, remember, there's no flash on Huni's side, and Ignar is level 6. Huni wants to try and surprise Hans Sama here. They're going to find him.
The Wolf just on the other side. Hans Sama taking a big hit there as the teleport now coming in from Alfari, and that's Huni going down. A little too strong. Cataclysm onto Wolf. Does Hans Sama pick up another one? Alfari grabs that for himself.
For Misfits here, they want to get more. Huni still no flash.
Nice ultimate.
Solar Flare into the Zenith blade. Daybreak lockdown, and that's Hans Sama coming up with another kill. Ignar putting these on a silver platter.
Ignar is playing out of his mind.
They get to taunt SKT in their own jungle now. Explosive shot takes Blank down below half health. Ignar is going to be the first one to take the turret shot with Daybreak aggro. And they're going to be able to walk out with another kill. Faker with the Weaver's Wall, not able to make any moves or block the fight off. Comes in just a little late.
Certainly can, but one bright spot for SKT has been Faker. He is strong, but they're going for the engage again.
Has to be the kill. Easy hit onto Blank.
So they know the Baron is starting.
Blank is maybe too far. They can actually just
way too far away. This is Baron for Misfits. Still going to be the fight. Ignar could get pushed away. No condemn there. 3 silver bolts coming through. Blank says we can still fight this. Let's go, team. That's going to be the redemption. A huge shockwave onto 3 members of SKT. Bakuni's already teleported to the back line. That ward behind Baron was his in, and it's also his out. Faker doing what he can to bring the pain from the side, but SKT's been pushed out by Power of Evil.
3 for 1 and the Baron for Misfits, despite Hansama jumping in a bit too far. He does get taken down, but SKT have to commit so much to that kill that they had nothing left, and Misfits will be out on the map with a Baron buff and a chance to put SKT 1 game away from elimination.
Shock Blast coming through from Huni, only tickling Misfits now. He's not finding big AoE damage, which usually means he has to go hammer form quick, and you do not want to do that against this team. It looks like Misfits will hold off, will wait for those waves. They're going to be pouring into the bottom soon, and in that mid lane.
Look at Bang right near. He sees 2 members split up. Oh, Blank as well. The conflict trying to find.
That was the flash and the ultimate from Blank. Misfits now should have the confidence. They can push up, but Power of Evil without his flash as well. Hansama, it's on him.
Faker!
Faker low, Faker shockwave in! A few more shots to him. He's going to have about 500 HP. Cataclysm takes him down. Wolf is very low as Blink falls. The map is open. The base is being crushed by Misfits. SKT very low right now. As Wolf looks to make his way out. Bang has to head to the mountain. Misfits are going to be able to take the Nexus turrets.
Get the inhib for now. Bang did stay alive in this fight here. 3 inhibs gone. Misfits still in the base. It's currently the 3 members against the 2, and Alfire will TP in.
This is that part where Huni has to go to hammer form. It only gets more dangerous for him. The teleport coming in so the minions stay alive. That super minion, in fact. And they are going for Huni now, looking for the kills, looking to secure it, looking to be the first team ever to accomplish what no team has done before as they take SKT to game point.
Can you believe it, man? They pick Leona in this game. They win the bot lane. They keep creating picks. They get 2 Barons in this game as well. They get all the Drakes, and SKT are pushed so far back on the map, they don't have an answer at the moment.
It's just unreal. SKT being pushed to their limit and beyond. Now 1 game from being eliminated by the 3rd seed from Europe, 2nd seed.
Support player Ignar in particular goes crazy on Blitzcrank and Leona, and SKT is forced to drop games 2 and 3. Huni in particular is struggling, but SKT elected to bring longtime jungler Blank as their substitute instead of Antara, and plug him in for Peanut after the Game 2 loss. Blank is able to take over in Game 4, but Faker is the true hero, putting SKT on his back to bring them through to a deciding Game 5, which SKT is able to win with superior objective control.
Flash is now ready on their carries. Ignar is not able to flank at the moment. They're all 5 together. They're going in on Huni.
Onto Huni, throws down the subjugate right away. Looking at Bang and Hansama. Bang's on the left. Hansama is in the back line, not able to deliver any damage just yet. And Alfari, Ignar, Maxlar, all very low as SKT pushes forward. Winter fight onto Maxlar. And here comes SKT right on top of Misfits. The damage is just too much. And SKT take the game into their control.
And they could push down mid lane. They could very well just win the game. We'll see if they have enough time. Almost 50 seconds on these death timers. They are going to march it down mid.
The 2 performances appear to have flipped. The semifinals will bring us more of the same. SKT faces RNG and they get summarily crushed in Game 1, with Uzi in particular crushing Bang and Wolf and Let Me beating Huni soundly in the top lane. Superstar jungler MLXG also beats Blank and Faker isn't able to get going. Game 2 is a turnaround though. Huni, now on a carry in Camille, is able to make his mark. Blank crushed MLXG and Faker plays perfectly on Galio. Game 3 flips back to RNG, with Uzi playing out of his mind on Vayne and a camp Faker strategy by MLXG deciding the mid lane. The series seems to be coming down to MLXG versus Blank, and Blank is losing. SKT subs in Peanut for Game 4, but it is Faker who makes the difference this time, getting Bang ahead in the bottom lane, allowing an SKT victory. Game 5 is all Peanut, finally performing like the superstar SKT expected when they signed him at the beginning of the season, putting up a huge 6-0-3 Jarvan game and comboing super well with Faker to let SKT escape another 1-2 with a 3-2 victory. On the other side, Samsung Galaxy also matched up with the Chinese side in the form of Team WE. In Game 1, Condi and 957 made Kuve's life a living hell, punishing him repeatedly en route to a crushing 14-1 victory.
Crowd is cheering behind the last LPL representative. Condi runs for his life now. It's just burning. Somebody heals supposed to be used. First blood picked up by Mystic. Kuve's going to try to turn it around. They're hitting away on Xie. Xie clears out the wave. And this venue erupts.
Samsung Galaxy bounced back, countering with a Kuve Ambition duo that put Kuve supremely ahead and allowed him to carry Samsung to a victory.
Body slam from Ambition, and now everybody turns their attention to the crown. He's going to get dropped, taken down, and Team WE trade 4 for 2.
Ambition and Crown play great in Game 3, but Ruler is the one who turns it up as the team wins.
JJ gets feasted down, and Samsung wins. They get the first kill.
And in Game 4, when everyone else falters, it is Ruler and Core JJ who dominate the game, giving Samsung a 3-1 victory.
Look at the knockup and the damage down. 957 over the slicing maelstrom. He's doing what he can to turn around. It's too little. It's too late. Ruler flashes and heals to safety. He gets one. Ruler into the wall. Triple kill. Picked up for Ruler. Ben's flashed away to safety. Now she aced the target. Samsung Galaxy set their sights on the Summoners Cup and qualified for a rematch with SK Telecom in the Championship Finals.
This brings us to the climactic moments, the 2017 League of Legends World Finals between SK Telecom T1 and Samsung Galaxy. The build-up to this match is huge, and opinions are very mixed. SKT has struggled here at Worlds, and yet despite their weakest Worlds performance yet, they're in the finals once again. And legendary coach Koma has surely prepped them as well as possible for their rivals Samsung. Samsung started weak, but turned it on huge in the bracket, ripping apart Longzhu Gaming and denying Team WE's late game. Samsung Galaxy has support, but as Jad on the desk said, it is very difficult to ever bet against SKT, especially at Worlds where they have never lost a series. All three analysts think the series will go to 5 games, but only Korean analyst Papa Smithy selects Samsung. Game 1 opens up, and whilst SKT hangs in pretty well early, it is apparent that Samsung has strategized superiorly, placing Crown on a Malzahar pick designed to neutralize Faker and trusting the rest of the team to beat their matchups. And that's exactly what happens. Samsung plays a perfect Game 1.
Game saving Baron steal, and here comes the re-engage. He bounces back. First blood still goes to Samsung Galaxy. Huni TP's in, but it's 5v4. Huni doesn't have a lot of places to go. Faker likely to lose his life. The flank from AD Cannon. They've got 2, now make it 3 as Bang is forced to run away. He's chased down, he's silenced and dead. Huni can try to Baron recall out, they can't see him. But 4-0 to Samsung Galaxy.
Started fighting the last 2 minutes.
Mid flash ult, and it's going to be in the Quicksilver Sash out, but it's just a trade of flash ulti for an active item, and Ruler is completely fine.
Meanwhile, the bottom side, Cuve takes his toll. He's inside the base, and there they go!
Going for another one. Crown does kite away, but the lens bounce brings Ambition back into safety. Another bit of poke out from Bang, and it does not matter. The top inhibitor dies, and simply there is no fight to be had for SKT. The bottom gone as well. SKT's base in shambles. And the fight continues as Bang now forced back away. Ruler safe enough. Kites away from Faker. Good damage here. Gets the knockup. A bit of healing as well. The barrier pop of Faker. Almost gets himself the solo kill. Now forced to run away, but kites forward. Gets away from the knockup. Gets rooted in, and Crown gets himself that kill in the mid lane. 5-0 in the game as they keep pushing forward. Superman
minions in tow. Samsung Galaxy only give up one turret this entire game and absolutely dominate SK Telecom. A complete domination to this one. They're looking for a couple more kills to pad the stats, but there is no way back in this one for SKT. The slicing maelstrom in there. 7-0 in the game. 2 more to go. Samsung Galaxy strike down SKT in the first.
Leading to some potential desperation from SKT in Game 2, where Huni selects Yasuo. SKT is playing well, gaining a moderate gold lead, but a huge teamfight by Ambition tears down the SKT lead instantly.
A few wards behind SKT, but Samsung not in a position to fight.
Slam explosive cast does not do much, though the ultimates are down. Here comes the re-engage once again for Ambition. Wants to add the damage. Oh! Look at the blade, Colorado Ruler. Do they have the my God! Triple knockup. The follow through for Gilbert. And he's going to fight for help, but still one death comes through. The suppression comes in. 4 kills already. One man stands alive, and he's going to fall. The ace for Samsung Galaxy.
That was so insane from Samsung. There was so much damage coming in from Ruler, and Ambition bought so much time for the rest of his team. Crown joins after. Cube comes in from the flank. And that was perfect.
And Samsung would ride the new wave of momentum to a victory.
Is now ready again on the side of Ruler. Peanuts flashes up, another big one for that potential fight. But Cortege is so far back. Look at this. He's playing so safe. He knows he could be a target.
Cannot be found. A few more attacks will knock down the inhibitor. The flash forward, looking for the play, not going to get anything for themselves. Goody blocks off a little bit. Here comes the Cataclysm, and it could be just that for SKT as they're forced to retreat the Realm Warp just to buy some time. The Quicksilver Sash gets rid of suppression, but it does mean the damage comes through. 2 Nexus turrets left remaining as 1 kill has already come through. Samsung Galaxy hoping to knock down these bricks and build that foundation of greatness. Faker silence, the flash for the knockup, but no kill to come through just yet. The turrets fall, and the Nexus in front of their eyes as well, looking to snuff them out as another kill comes through. Kube transforms back, and Samsung Galaxy are 1 game away from greatness. They can see the finish line.
This leads us to Game 3, and this game isn't like the others so far. SKT has subbed in Blank and is being bold, no longer content to try catching Samsung's mistakes and instead moving to force them. The game is going longer than the others, and SKT is controlling neutral objectives, taking a 4,000 gold lead and a Baron at 21 minutes with a 9-3 kill lead. SKT is stretching Samsung thin and looking like their championship selves.
Backline, can they knock down Ruler with this one? Half HP on a hit, knocked back into the wall once again. Hooney's in the mix, and he got the first kill. 1 carry is down. The re-engage is looking for Crown. This Malzahar not long for the world. Has flash, doesn't matter. Double kill in for Bang in the chase out of the bot side. Looking, the flash forward can't quite get Ambition, but 2-0 means a good chance at Baron or more of the map. A slow's gonna land into Kube.
Oh, can he get away from this one?
There's not really a chance. He's got flash, but the rest of the squad is here, and he's just best dying with dignity. 3 dead. SKT win the crucial team fight.
And this is why we just talked about SKT going into that Baron area and start playing around it with Huni sitting in the side lane. As soon as Ruler shows up, there is no flash, and they just turn on him.
Now it's the battle for the Baron steal. The wards came down, but the similar sweeps coming in for SKT means it's Darkness and Faker taking the duty of zoning away Ambition. And at this point, he's given up the chase. There is no chance for a steal. This is going to be a team fight into Baron for SKT, and the lead about 6,000 as a result.
What can the defending champion do with this Baron?
At 31 minutes with SKT trying to secure their second Baron, this happens.
Ambition kind of the one to do all of this. A defensive line of controls for Samsung Galaxy, but no vision in the deep pit.
There is a blue trinket right now for Ruler, used at the moment. Samsung moving in. This might be a big one.
Crown's pretty far away from the rest of the team.
There's the engage!
Gets a stun and a Ruler, gets pushed back. He's going to stay alive. Another re-engage, a giant silence and a Kube, and he blows up Bang! That's a 1-0. The chase-in is there, and they're going to get rid of the bot lane entirely. There's no carries left for SKT. The chase to be had, Samsung Galaxy now in control of the river.
Samsung doing it again. They're winning these big fights when they're behind. They're supposed to lose these team fights, yet they turn it around.
3v5 to save the game. SKT, can they have Blank steal the Baron? Can they have the fight they need? Jumps the pit, looks to play suppressing this time. Samsung Galaxy call it right. They grab the Baron. Will they do the impossible?
Samsung secures the map and begins to push their newly found teamfight advantage, pushing into SKT's base and threatening a victory.
Unbelievable occurrences in all of world. Samsung are on the brink of 3-0ing SK Telecom.
40 seconds on Faker, 25 seconds on Blank. They have the Baron buff. They're pushing for the Nexus.
They need this fight, SKT, to stay alive. They've done it so many times throughout the years. Kube getting low, the chase on a wall.
One more attack will do him, and he stays alive. But one Nexus turret falls. It's just the one to stay in there. Huni on the front lines. Bang to rejoin, clearing out the minions. The minions, though, still pushing in. The turret is gone. Ruler flashed away. He stays in. Wolf finds himself the first kill, but he's going to trade his life. Huni and Blank are alive, though. 2 versus 4. The health bar's so low. SKT, hold on.
Ruler and Cube living by the slimmest of margins as Huni tries to chase them out of the base, but so much damage has been done.
SKT is able to hold at their Nexus, causing Samsung to regroup, but they are chased down by Faker and Huni, wiping the Samsung side. SKT picks up a 4-element Elder Dragon at 35 minutes to give themselves some breathing room and push back to Samsung's front door.
Losing! The Flash Q's not going to find it. A kill though for Huni. Can he keep SKT alive? Look for ambition. One more attack. Turns to Crown. Yes, a double for Huni. The mid lane stays alive. Now Faker in the melee range of Kube. But a manaless Cho'Gath is not a threat. They're going to keep chasing. The chomp is in. There is no way out for Cho'Gath. SKT will hold on.
This game is insane. SKT just managed to defend. Eventually they kill QA as well and buy a bit more time, but there are no Nexus turrets.
This will be the 5-stack Elder Dragon for SKT.
There is a ward in the base of SKT.
As the game approaches the 40-minute mark, still balanced on a knife's edge, we've arrived. The following moment is the culmination of everything we've talked about up until now, and is arguably the single defining moment of the Korean era of dominance over League of Legends. SKT is chasing their 4th World Championship and their 3rd one in a row. Faker, the unkillable Demon King, is having to carry a weakened roster. Blank, a jungler who has had an up and down career, is being called upon in SKT's final hour. On the other side, we have Samsung Galaxy, an organization who rose in the original SKT's ashes to claim the only world championship not won by them since 2013, but who has also had a painful rebuilding process since then. Kuve has been with the Samsung since this rebuild began. Cord JJ went from a middling NALCS ADC to the top support in the LCK. Ambition, whose long and storied career intertwines with Faker's rise to the top, is now a KG veteran looking for a ring. And lastly, Ruler, the newest member of our story, whose performance has pulled Samsung through some of their roughest games and series this season. This doesn't even mention all the other players, the Samsung white and blue rosters, the original SKT roster, the CJ Entus players who Ambition dedicated himself to for 5 years of his career, all culminating in this one moment. 10 players, 2 teams. One moment which will send one team into celebration and the other into torment.
There, but they can always pressure mid. Looking at it now is Ambition, getting the slow onto Huni. Shot back by Bank, who is to hold the front line, and Samsung Galaxy push mid first.
As you can see, the
Flash ult flipped! They've caught Faker! They've got the CC! The mid laner is down! The unkillable Demon King has done just that! As Ruler stays in, life stealing. In the back line, they found more as Huni does not have a way out. Pops to Yolt, but he has no exit route. 2 more autos will kill him down, but he gets to run away. They twitch to their aggro. They knock down Wolf instead. 5v3 in mid.
In the moment of truth, they flash on Faker, and they take out the heart of SK Telecom.
Faker had no flash when the fight started. They knew that, so they used everything to kill him.
A game-winning pick, a championship-winning pick for Ruler. That might be the Flash R that signals the end of the SKT dynasty. There are no turrets. It is 5 versus 3. Huni, do you have what it takes to win the game? Bang certainly does not. Ruler on the Nexus. The upset is complete as the kills come through. The SKT dynasty is over. All hail the new kings. Samsung Galaxy, your 2017 World Champions!
How is this the lowest quality webcam of all time? Hey y'all, thanks for watching. I'm recording this outro in my closet as it's somehow the best place to do something like this in my entire apartment. I don't exactly have professional resources over here. Anyway, I worked super hard on the script and editing together this video, and I'm hoping to make a series out of this, which I promise will be shorter in other editions. This one just accidentally ballooned way longer than I ever could have expected when I started. So please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I drew a picture of a bell. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I don't really know how to YouTube, but hey, click on it anyway. What's the harm? Samsung Galaxy would opt to drop completely out of esports following this event, ending the organization's long and storied history in League of Legends. Their roster would go on to become Gen G, and they would bomb at the 2018 World Championship, failing to make it out of their groups with a 2-4 record, the first Korean team to do so since the Samsung Ozone roster in 2013. SKT would struggle mightily in the 2018 season, managing just an 18-18 record combined, missing Worlds. For the first time since 2013, neither SKT For the first time since 2018, neither SKT nor Samsung would be representing Korea at the World Championship. And it would be China to capitalize, with Invictus Gaming winning the 2018 World Championship, albeit anchored by Koreans The Shy and Rookie. Oh hey, and Duke was there as a sub. SKT was eliminated in the semifinals of the 2019 World Championship, which would go on to be won by Chinese team Fun Plus Phoenix. Finally, in my mind at least, closing the book of the era of Korean dominance over League of Legends.